116 of the Duncannon Borough Council to order. Welcome everybody to please rise for a moment of silence, then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Mr. Hamilton, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I'd like to welcome the Borough Secretary to provide a roll call of the officials present.
Mr. Crothermel.
Here.
Mr. Epley.
Present.
Mr. Lanhart.
Here.
Mr. Nace.
Present.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Kirkhoff.
Here.
Ms. Young.
Here.
Mayor Conrad did call to say that he was having a bad day.
Okay.
Okay. Solicitor DeSinger, he's here but not here. Does that mark him here or not here?
He's here.
Okay. Engineer Aycock. Here.
And for Mr. Brown, too. Thank you. Just a reminder for anyone in the room, including at the table, with electronic devices, whether they be cell phones or pagers, please be sure they're on silent or vibrate. Before you, number 5 on the agenda, before you, we have 3 sets of minutes. We had tabled the June 21st regular meeting minutes for action tonight, also the special meeting of June 30th and the regular meeting of July 19th. Is there any discussion on the minutes presented?
Mr. President, I have a correction on June 30th. Would you like to take that?
Certainly, Mr. Upton.
Page 2, 5th paragraph down, 2nd line, go over to where it says, Mr. Brian Peters of Penn Township stated that he has been in contact with the agency and that the video and similar videos have been removed, and insert the word from all media outlets. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, on the same page, 2nd paragraph, there's a motion by Mr. Crothermel, but there's no one. The motion was seconded and passed, but it's not listed who seconded the motion.
Okay, so look it up and put it in there. Thank you.
Any other discussion or action on the minutes presented? Any other discussion or action on the minutes as presented?
Move to accept the minutes as revised.
All 3 sets?
Yes. Well, yes, as always.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kirkhoff, second by Mr. Crothermel to approve all 3 sets of minutes with the amendment or corrections as indicated. Any further discussion? All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We do have public comment next on the agenda. Looking at the first page of the sign-in sheet, Mr. Howell has indicated neither way. Did you wish to speak?
Thomas Howard Jr., 118 North Market Street, Duncannon. I just want to thank Penn Township Police for showing up Sunday night for 2 individuals that was over in front of the parking lot that was well intoxicated, and the state police showed up later on. And one of them, the guy that was intoxicated, has just got out of prison. His name is Timothy Smith. And when they were checking him out, they found that he had drugs on him, that he tried to hide. So I'm just thanking him for showing up when I called him in. Okay.
Thanks, sir. Next on the agenda wishing to speak is Joe Burgett Jr. I believe he stepped out. We'll come back to you. Margie Safko said maybe.
I would like to hear what the state police have to say first. Thank you.
They're next on the agenda.
Yeah.
Betsy Kirkhoff, you didn't indicate either way.
I didn't indicate, but I had a question, and maybe it'll be answered tonight, so maybe we shouldn't answer it. But last week at the special meeting where that all went on, Mr. Crockermill indicated that he had suspended all talks with Penn Township, and I just wondered why we suspended talks with Penn Township. Well, it seems like we're in the midst of something, but you would think that all along you'd be keeping all your options open and know, I asked questions about.
I didn't suspend all talks with Penn Township. I held off on scheduling a meeting based on having that meeting last Monday.
Okay. It seems like we want to keep that moving to make sure we always have coverage. Curious.
Was that all, Ms.?
Yeah, I just wondered, it seemed to me that we want to make sure we have some sort of coverage at all times.
Understood. Thank you. John Capuana.
No, not yet.
Susan Claver, you didn't get out of the way. Kathy Smith, question mark.
I wanted to address what was in the Duncannon record in regards to the tower, but I think you have it on
We
your
have that on,
agenda.
yes.
Because do you guys have the location then?
I know what's in that publication.
It's kind of crappy.
It's either, we're not even sure if it's, depending on where it is in that general area, it's either in Penn Township or the borough. Penn Township was aware of it when I communicated with them, so I don't know if they received other communication that it was happening. We'll take it up under D20.
Okay, that's my big concern, because that's just an awesome.
Anything else?
I'm good now.
Okay. Mike Wolfersberger,
Oh, yeah. How much time do I have?
3 minutes.
Oh, my God.
If you could just state your name and address.
Mike Wolfersberger, 823 North 5th Street in Duncannon. About a year or so ago, a gentleman that a lot of you people know, Mike Bruner, asked me to be in a movie. Okay, don't laugh too loud. A Christian, I might have sent your company one, but I'm going to give you one anyway.
Okay.
A Christian Western movie. And we're doing some, shooting some scenes around Perry County here. And one of the scenes, a couple of scenes we have in the movie are campsite and stuff. And I located a location down along Sherman's Creek on your property. And Mike Crowley took me out there about a week or so ago and showed me the property and stuff. And there's a real nice location down there, right around where the scouts camp and stuff. And I'm asking permission to go down there and shoot some scenes. It would be probably close to evening is when we're looking at these scenes being shot. And Mike agreed to come down and open up and be there, so to make sure we, take care of the place, because he really likes that place down there. And there is a website in here for you guys to look at if you want. I am raising funds also. I know I can't get any from the borough, but privately, and
Shameless, Mike, shameless.
Hey, hey, when you're trying to raise money, you gotta do whatever you gotta do.
You got it.
And the young lady that's shooting the film is Tatiana Leitzel. I think you all are familiar with her and the quality of the work that she did with the sesquicentennial and stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm here for. Thank you very much.
Mike, would you ask her if she would bring the film back and show it outdoors in up at Cooper Field
Oh,
in the summer next year?
Whenever when we're done with this whole thing, we're gonna have a showing here, most likely out at Audubon United Methodist Church. I should mention that, it's in here, but the United Methodist Church is sponsoring this. So any money that's donated is tax deductible. And we're also the main part of the filming is gonna be in Penn, outside of Waynesburg, Camp Penn. It's a United Methodist camp church. It's an old CC camp that United Methodists have been leasing for 70 years. They just are having their 70th anniversary here this coming. So yeah, whenever that will, and that is a possibility too. We may like to get that out there. So take a look at it and see what you think and help us out if you can.
I make the motion to grant them the approval to use our property for whatever they need for their movie.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Kirkhoff to grant permission to the production crew to use the watershed near the Goose Pond for the production of the movie. Any further discussion? All those in favor give consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Please coordinate with the manager, Mr. Crowley, and get that up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Reference to that?
Yeah. Does it have to be closed or anything? I mean, are people still free to go back there when you're
As far as to watch us do that, or?
just using?
It's only gonna be like one evening.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not gonna be it's not.
No, I
we'll
was just
do-
curious if you were gonna close it down and set up big lights or something.
Oh, no, this is low budget.
Flashlight,
The light we'll be getting will be from God. Okay, it's the only light we'll have.
Thank you, Mr. Wolfensberger. I believe it's William Hamilton.
Yeah, excuse me, Monday morning, everybody, all the vehicles at schoolhouse apartments in back of Lincoln Street got a notice on the windshield about one of the residents of 207D Lincoln, their vehicle was attempted to break in. The police were notified, but I want to let you know about the Penn Township Police were on the ball. Also, I've been calls from residents of schoolhouse apartments about the electric bills. They haven't received them yet. Have they been mailed or
They are
They went out today.
went out today? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, that's all I have to say for now.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Tim Ox, maybe.
I just had a quick question, I'm sure it'll be covered here later. Did we do any negotiation with Penn Township yet, or was there
An
any
email was sent out to schedule it, I don't have responses actually.
That's it. Sean O'Shea.
I just want to take a quick minute to thank you guys for putting in the crosswalks across 274 and the off-ramps and everything, so hopefully now all the hikers and kids and everyone can get through that intersection a little easier. I went to the website today to check out what time this council meeting is taking place, because I always forget. And all your old stuff is still kind of up there for 7:30.
I'll look at
I checked
that.
in the events page and on the calendar, it's listed as 7:30.
I've never even been able to get the calendar page to come up, so I'll have to look at that and see. I was wondering how that functioned because it looked like it was a dead link on my computer, so I don't
It
know.
opened up, had the calendar there with, this date highlighted, 7:30.
We'll take a look at that and find a way to get it fixed. I've said this before and I'll repeat it, that the admin tool for that website is just near impossible. It's a horrible setup, and we're hoping to replace it when we have time to actually do that. But in the meantime, we do need to maintain it, and we'll work to get that fixed.
And when I was there, I also saw that you have like a new newsletter promotion on the front page. And I was wondering, is there a way to get that like digitally, like emailed to me or?
It is actually, there's a link there, or should be.
Okay, I must not have.
And
real quick looking.
and if you go to the site where our codes and everything are, and there's links to various categories there and various documents, that's where we store all the documents like that, the general code site. But there should be a link when you click on it that would take you to it electronically.
Great. That's it for me.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks.
On page 2, everyone indicated no, with the exception of Sergeant is it Lyman? Yes, sir. Okay. And Lieutenant Bernard from the Pennsylvania State Police. Following the special meeting last week, there were some questions regarding the state police and the services they could or would potentially provide to the borough. And we invited, actually, Margie was able to communicate with them prior to that meeting and made an invitation to attend the meeting. So Lieutenant Bernard and Sergeant Bernard.
I'm Lieutenant Greg Bernard, I'm the station commander in Newport. Sergeant Barbara Ligon, who's our patrol supervisor in Newport. We were requested to come to this meeting about a month ago, and I go to a township meeting once a month, typically in our primary jurisdiction, and I would provide stats and different things that we're responding to, so this is a little bit unique. As Penn Township is your primary jurisdiction, so I don't have any numbers to talk about, so I'm still putting out the questions.
Are there any questions from the audience?
Yeah, how many officers will we have on duty to cover us additionally, or will it be the same crew? It'll be the same crew. We're allotted 31 patrol officers in our station, and currently, probably on the road, we're down to about 21. So we're 10 guys short. But, We have typically, well, what are we running, about minimum 4.
We normally try to run 5 patrol cars in the supervisor shift. That's our minimum coverage for the entire county. But there are times we have up to 10 cars out. It all depends on the schedule, the manpower. Let's say, being the state police, we constantly have people transferring in, transferring out. So it all depends on our manpower, on the coverage we have at any time.
But of those cars, none are of a specific location. They're broken down into zones. So you would be a part of this zone coverage, which encompasses various townships and other boroughs. So as far as patrolling Duncannon Borough specific for 8 hours, not going to happen. It'll be a pass-through here or there. It'll be prioritizing incidents. Obviously, if there's a serious incident, we would respond to it immediately. But as far as your criminal mischiefs and different things like that, it will be prioritized according to other laws.
Currently, you have a patrol, I've seen, when you put somebody out on patrol, they're patrolling a certain area.
Zones, yeah, they're broken down by zones.
So currently Duncannon is also patrolled by the Penn Township Police.
Yes.
If that wasn't happening, that would not change your patrols in any way.
We would still patrol.
But
It would be a routine
it wouldn't be
patrol.
like, oh, they don't have Penn Township, now we have to go there more. That wouldn't, do you know what I'm saying? It wouldn't necessarily change based on the fact that
We would be aware that the borough did not have coverage, and yet we would make it an effort then to probably patrol more if it did not have police coverage. Normally routinely now, we are through here because of the busy nature of 322 and 1115 coming through here, but
It's not going to be a car that's going to be visible like Penn
But
Township.
it's
It'll
still
be
taking
past.
extra time.
That was really good.
In the event something basic, maybe would be happening, it would take you time to get here. How many people cover this area of patrolling?
One typically, one's going to cover this area,
One.
but it's not going to just be this area. It's going to be a large section of, Perry County's a large county. It's a large county. And there's no, if you drive the county, there's no real easy way to go north and south. East and west, yeah, we can get there pretty fast off of 322. When you hit 1115, you can go north pretty fast. But it's going to take, depending, now, there could be a car locally in the area that would respond. It could be here quickly, but we don't know that. No, we don't know.
so if we have minimum coverage, they might just be in certain areas, 4 or 5 across the county assigned to those areas. When we're heavy with extra people, not only will they be there, but we also assign just a trooper to 11 and 15 line zones to 322. So again, it all depends on our manpower. And you might see a lot of cars in the 322 area at the bridge, because that's an area where 3 stations converge. So you see extra cars out there a lot of times. A lot of them are not even our cars. Like it's in Harrisburg, all the coverage stations, that's kind of a merge point for the different geographical areas. So
You mentioned zones. How many zones are there in Perry County as far as your coverage?
Roughly about 10, right?
10, but then again, some of those are line, what we call them line zones. It could be 322, 11, and 15, but there's never a trooper just in one zone. So a trooper might get 42, 43, like 2 townships, 2 boroughs. Again, it all depends on coverage.
So our zone, does this extend up to Fort Loudon, Blaine area, or how far out does that go?
It's down in Marysville, up to Liverpool, up in that area. So it's Reed Township. We get a lot of crashes at the Sheets intersection there. So
We typically try to keep a car in that area just due to the heavy volume and the crashes there.
Are there any questions from the table? Anything else from the audience? I think the intention is we're at some financial challenges that we've established, and there's been a lot of discussion regarding the feasibility of a continued relationship with Penn Township. At this point, we're paid through the end of September for the services that Penn Township provides us. As you heard, we're working on renegotiating an agreement and formalizing a contract that wasn't previously properly handled. So we don't know how that's going to go and what the budget constraint is going to create. I did provide some information to the sergeant, to the lieutenant, specific to the borough, some other information they would need if that coverage would change, would be the date of the change and kind of the nature of the change. But certainly I would think that the population and call volume would dictate the availability or the response.
Right, I mean, obviously it's gonna, you know, you had a serious incident that takes place, then everything gets dropped, you know, for officer safety and for community safety, and we're gonna come. But from where are we coming from? Who knows? I mean, we could be coming from Nicholasburg to Liverpool, Newport, you know, Millerstown. So we will do our best, you know, to ensure that we have a timely response, but there's no guarantee that it's going to be a 5-minute response or a 2-hour response. It's all depending on the nature of the call.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Well, the night I called Penn Township, they were there in about 5-10 minutes. So that means they're out and about. You know, and these gentlemen just keep driving through.
You want a routine patrol. I mean, you would, sometimes we gotta cover Marysville because they're short in coverage, and, you know, we may be on a call handling something down there, and then a call comes in here, it would be handled by priority.
That's like I said, you gentlemen have enough to do, and instead of getting out and walking around in your car. Penn Township was hired here to do that. And I think that, you know, we should keep them in there.
Well, we're not gonna get into politics. And you have a high-quality officer sitting right here, and we're just here to tell you what we can do, what we will do, and what we do for the rest of the county, and everything else is directed toward the table.
So there you
Do you
go.
spend much time on drug, get calls about people suspecting drugs and stuff?
Well, we you know,
Do you have time to do all that?
we have a, we do have a vice unit, but they're busy. They handle the whole troop, which is
They have special troops.
7 counties. And then we have other specialties, but, you know, I mean, there's, believe it or not, there's a lot of drugs in Perry County.
I know that. I believe that.
And, you know, so we do what we can with that, and, you know, so our resources are spread out throughout the state like that. So there would not be a specific drug task force just for any borough through, you know, as far
We
as
have
this
happened
context.
again. Excuse me, a lot of drug problems in this borough within the last couple of months. Matter of fact, we had 2 recent last week, road days.
Oh my God, and we do share information with the other departments, they share information with us, so we try to do the best we can to combat the problem as we
Yeah,
can.
I mean, it's not a them against us. We're all wearing the same uniform, and I think they're doing a good job, and I would hope that they would think we're doing a good job. And that's what it's all, it's part of, you know, we're their backup, and they're our backup. And, you know, somebody said that they had an incident where Penn Township responded and the state police showed up. Yes, we're not gonna leave anybody, no matter what police department it is, hanging and not have backup, because a lot of times we only have one-man car too. And we're requesting assistance from the local police departments to help our officers out. And that would, you know, will always continue that way.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Mr. Leonard.
2 quick questions. The bulk of your operation, I gather from what you said, is along 22-322.
No,
and
that's not the
11
bulk.
and 15. Not so.
I mean, we have a lot of
I
incidents.
understand you have, as long as you take
I would say
care
the bulk of our traffic flow is on 322 and
Okay.
1115.
And that's where you get most of the calls, I would think.
No,
Crash related.
our calls are everywhere in this county, everywhere. And, yeah, but that's obviously the highest traffic volume, so that would be our highest crash area,
Mhm.
but not necessarily our highest incident calls. We get, you know, we also do the criminal investigations, and we do the drug work and everything else. So we're involved in every type of incident in every corner of this county. So, but that's our highest traffic volume.
Anything else, Mr. Leonard?
No.
Anything else from the table? Thank you, gentlemen. Anyone else
Okay,
that
Brad.
that didn't get to sign in or that would like to speak?
You don't want to be in a movie, do you? I could use it.
Was there anyone else that wished to speak tonight? Sorry. Moving on then to appointments, resignations, correspondence, proposals, and citizen action forms. We do still have two positions, appointed positions, one on the zoning hearing board, one on the planning commission. If anyone is interested or know anyone that's interested, you must be a borough resident, please let us know. Those have been on the agenda for some time. What Kathy referred to a little bit earlier is in last week's Duncannon Record, there was an advertisement about a 125-foot railroad communication lattice tower within the railroad right-of-way. It will be located approximately 100 feet northeast of the intersection of Newport Road and North Market Street. That's very close to the Penn Duncannon Borough line. What I found through Wheatfield Township, they're in the process right now of erecting a very similar tower. I think it's 140 feet in Wheatfield Township off of Brett's Lane, and the railroad is exempt from permitting, from local permitting and local zoning, and that was made very clear in their correspondence with Wheatfield. Also, the timeline, they were notified like 3 days before construction was to begin. So I don't know, not that I'm saying there's nothing that can be done, but just to put that information out there. There is a email address and contact information within this publication, but the letter that I saw that was sent to Wheatfield says because it's a, I don't know if Bill may be aware of it, but there's a federal act that exempts the railroad for these purposes, for this communications program, from local requirements and restrictions.
It goes back to the 1800s with the Railroad Act. It covered the entire nation.
Joe?
Is that tower that's gonna be put up within there right away?
It says it will be within the railroad right of way.
How high is it, 140?
125 feet. The one in Wheatfield is 140. That's how.
What if a private resident put a tower up just outside their right of way, would they have something to say about it?
I would presume
Yeah, if it fell on their tracks or something, you know?
and that was one of the concerns in Wheatfield was because it was a single access. It was,
Yeah.
the towpath road, Brett's Lane, if you're familiar. There's no other way in or out. So if the tower would fall out there, it would potentially cut off access to those residences. Here, it's down here in the corner, but certainly where would it fall within 125-foot radius would be a concern.
Are you planning on contacting them for exact locations, or is this something that I need to, because I'll take stuff on.
It indicates 100 feet northeast of the intersection of Newport Road and North Market Street. So that puts it
I know
on
they
the
own
riverside.
part of the ground by the blue house that had the snakes and fire or whatever. But is it going to go on the Market Street side, or is it going to go on the camp?
The northeast side should be the campsite.
No, it should. Yeah, it should.
So
it should be, in my mind, it should be Penn Township.
So it won't be we're driving into town and seeing, oh, a lovely tower.
I don't think you'll miss it, but I don't think it'll be right in your.
But you know what I'm saying, you pull into the underpass and it's like, oh, way.
Yeah, I would envision it northeast would be.
Right around the crossing subway, around the subway.
Right.
Should be going up further towards Petersburg Commons.
Yeah, I would think
Because it's
so.
not straight north.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
I would
straight,
think it's
because
just-
that hooks up in that way, so.
Yeah.
Also,
Probably
it'll be on the
behind
other, the
Petersburg
Lions
Commons.
Club side, then,
Yes,
is what you think?
yeah. I'm almost sure.
The
But who knows?
The Appalachian Trail might have something to say about it because it has a historic rating.
I was just gonna say that
And there's a
they
view.
are looking for any interested party
Okay.
regarding specific location information and or the potential effects of the towers on historic properties. Do you want this?
Yeah.
Has contact information. I scanned it and emailed it. So
Great.
if you want to contact, it was a 30-day window. This was published last Wednesday.
Okay, thanks.
I just wanted to put that on everyone's radar. I don't believe it will be in the borough, but it'll be certainly close.
So they never notified you guys?
Nope.
You got the same notice that we all did?
My dad pointed out in the paper because they just dealt with it in Wheatfield.
Mr. Dissner, if it does fall in the borough, do you know of any recourse that we would have to?
No, I don't.
find it, or- okay.
Yeah. Kind of like dealing with the post office or.
I hear you.
Next item on the agenda I have under the correspondence, everyone should have received this, I've received it twice, is the Pennsylvania Association of Boroughs fall leadership conference flyer. If anyone didn't receive it and would like it to
I have two.
attend, please let us know. I have copies here. We received a letter from DEP. They have, does not require immediate action. However, it revises their coliform, total coliform. Well, this is appropriate for the drinking water side. Do you have anything on that?
I don't think from here, it needed redone. Is it an acceptance letter or?
It's revised total coliform rule. It's informational only at this point. I'll pass it over for you to take a look at. That was received at the end of last week.
What does it change?
I don't know. It's an informational piece. And the other one was a rescission of two previous letters, one dated 2013 and one dated 2016, on monitoring at multiple entry points. So again, I'll pass that off to the manager to pick up with Bessie if there's anything we need to do. We also received, I believe in your boxes in the front room, the members of council received a page and a half anonymous letter dated July 23rd, specific to some of the drug concerns in the borough. Being that it's anonymous, I don't know that we can respond, certainly if there's any desire for comment or input. Did the police department receive this? Did you receive a letter dated July 23rd? It was addressed to the police department as well about some concerns. It's anonymous, not signed, about some drug issues.
No, not to my knowledge. I'm not sure if
I'll get you a copy of it for your record. I also received just this afternoon an email from David Ritter. He asked that I read it tonight, however, it's moderately lengthy. I did email it to everybody at the table. It's essentially a thank you and just a summary of the Bucktail reunion took place last weekend. They've been away for over 20 years, but they hope to be back soon. The only person that wouldn't have gotten that was Roger, and Roger's mentioned specifically. We were thrown for a few loops during the week leading up to the event, and with the support of Councilman Williams, as well as the rest of the borough employees, these unforeseen issues became much easier for the committee to overcome. The Duncannon Fire Company members made sacrifices the whole weekend, giving up their time with their families, friends, and personal engagements to put in 16+ hours a day on that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Some of the fire company members gave up their time for over 2 weeks to help make sure we had what we needed to make this event special and as safe as it could be. Assistant Fire Chief Wise, Charlie Wise, should be recognized for his continued support throughout the whole process. From almost day one of the planning, Chief Wise was there to help each of the Bucktails, as well as his family. Dave Keene should be recognized for the job he did in helping with the Saturday morning activities. We had an extreme blast of heat that arrived shortly before we began the parade, forcing us to start to move the parade a few minutes early from the tavern. Without the support of the fire company members from the beginning to the end of the parade, we couldn't have completed such a grand march. We would also like to thank Mayor Conrad for his ticker wire phone call Saturday after making every attempt to push through his health issues to attend the Saturday festivities. Although he was unable due to health, his proclamation made the old ticker wire, made all in attendance feel remembered and embraced by the citizens of the town, including council. We'd like to thank all the citizens that allowed us to stage needed items for the event inside their homes and outside, as well as those who provided additional rehabilitation supplies throughout the weekend. They made everyone's weekend much easier, especially all the kids. Boy, was it hot. So that's not the entire thing, the entire letter, but I'll pass the hard copy over to Roger, since you probably didn't get the email. Is there anything else under item 7 on the agenda? Appointments, resignations, correspondence, proposals, and city manager reports. Okay, we'll move on to number 8, general reports. Sitting in for Mr. Brown tonight, Ms. Akon.
Yes, I'm Vicki with Pannoni, sitting in for Mr. Brown, and you all have his report in your packets. He just asked me to update you on the reservoir liner. The permit application was submitted to PADP and is currently under review. Sent an email over to check on the status of the review, and the gentleman responsible for that is currently out of the office. So I will provide an update on that when I get a return email from him. We did review the NASTAC videos and provided some opinion of costs for rehabilitation of the sanitary sewer lines that were videoed by NASTAC. Mr. Corrigan will be speaking more about that in relation to a grant opportunity later in the meeting. And I'm sure you're all aware, but I will just mention that the traffic study that we did for Butcher Shop Road, did not meet the criteria. The traffic count exceeded the 500 trips per day, unfortunately. I think it was about 800. And that's all I have. If you have any questions? Okay.
I also put under your report, and Mr. Burgett, I'm sorry, is here this evening. Your firm had provided a review of a plan for a minor subdivision or land development plan for the Fort Dodge property.
That's correct.
Do you have anything on that?
We issued comments, and Mr. Burkett contacted our office today and resubmitted, not a formal submission, but some revised plans to address some of the comments. And his revisions did address the majority of the comments that we had. And we just sent him a draft review, not a formal, and provided a copy to the manager.
Discuss that with Mr. Burgett. And where we're at, we've run out of time for us to act, basically. We'll have to act in some manner tonight, or there will be a deemed approval. The plan itself seems to be relatively simple. It doesn't appear to be complex in any particular way, nor present any extraordinary complicated issues, which we can all argue about before zoning hearing boards or some judge somewhere. What we're recommending, what I'm recommending, and this is with the consent of the developer, his planner here tonight, is that recommending that the plan be approved conditionally and conditioned upon engineering review and legal review. Now what that does, that allows us then to have the time to make sure that there's not something which needs to be corrected, and also then prevents them having come back to another meeting and delaying the process. So just to be a matter of whatever time that we need to proceed and do this, and I've given my assurances that we'll do so in an expeditious way. I've worked with Joe on many projects, and usually we get together and go over them until everybody's happy, or until we know that nobody's ever going to be happy, in which case we go in different ways. But I think that this can be figured out. That's my suggestion here tonight, that we do that. To a certain extent, the problem that we're in this issue, and it is our problem, it's not the developers. They've done what they're supposed to do. Our planning commission has not met. When these things come in, they go to the local planning commission as well as the county planning commission for review, and get sent out for engineering review, which was done, and we have those comments back and addressed by the developer. But our planning commission never reviewed it and made any recommendation to us as to how to proceed on it. So we're trying to field that situation in a manner which allows us to be fair to the developer, but also to protect our ordinances. And it's my understanding that Mr. Burgett would agree to those conditions. Is that correct? Correct. If you wish to proceed, what I would suggest is you allow Mr. Burgett to briefly present to you what's going on. There are, how many, 4 AOR?
4 or 5.
4 or 5 alteration of requirements. These are relatively minor in nature, and we would normally routinely recommend that they be approved, but they have to be done separately by motion and approval, and then the plan itself. Yes, sir.
I viewed the initial plans that we were sent. What is it going to be used for?
Yeah, I can give a presentation and show you guys all what's going on.
No, just tell me.
Oh, it's going to be two service bays, 2 additional service bays like he has there now.
Oh, okay.
That's all it's going to be. Yes.
Okay. You don't require, you do require water.
No. No, not for service bays. They're just,
Okay.
no sewer or water connections.
They already have existing.
Yeah, I know they do. I wasn't sure if they needed additional
No.
because of
If
pressure
they have to wash their hands or
whatever.
something, they'll just walk over to the other
Okay.
service bay and
Okay.
wash their hands or something.
I wasn't sure. I thought it might be storage of the equipment, supplies.
No, they're going to put some ramp, some lifts
You're
in
going to
there.
get 2 or 3 lifts in there.
That's correct.
That's what you're telling me.
The one up against the existing facility is gonna be a drive-through unit,
Mm-hmm.
so that somebody can drive through and go around the back, so you sort of just drive in.
Okay.
But there are gonna be 2 lifts in there, just gonna be servicing vehicles, just like they do
Okay.
now.
Did you have anything else we can, Joe, if you're okay to present that?
Sure.
Since we're on that topic.
Sure.
Mr. Burgett.
Council would like copies to look at?
Sure.
I have a bunch of them here.
You have smaller ones.
You have
You have
smaller
manageable
ones.
ones.
Yeah, but I have some full size too if we, I think I got 10 of them. So we can sort of maybe share and I'll come back if I have any extras here. You're welcome. As we all know, the facility's right down the road, right down the street here. Been here for many, many, many years. It used to be a sales and service facility. Now he's built the other facility down on 15. That's strictly his sales facility. This is strictly service here now. So what he wants to do is, if you look at the plan, you can see the dark rectangle area, which is here. It's a 45, no, when I originally submitted it was a 40 by 45. His fence has changed it to a 45 by 45. It's still all an existing paved surface. We're taking this new building and plopping it down on an impervious surface. So there's no additional impervious being created, no additional runoff, stormwater, stuff like that that's needed. It's all within the setback requirements, and it's strictly just going to be 2 service bays. Okay, so like I said, the one service bay that's up against the existing building will be a drive-through. They'll come in, they'll drive right through when they're done. The next one will come in online. No water, no sewer connection, just very, very simple. He's going to have to submit architectural plans in here to get his building permit. He'll have to do everything that's needed based on the building codes and all that good stuff. He's already met with the structural engineer and a builder. Supposedly the plans will be drawn up this week or next week, so he's going to be applying very shortly. His goal is to get this thing under roof before winter sets in. Now we have, the engineers requested us to show how many parking spaces, because the zoning ordinance says, I believe it's 1 space for every 300 square feet of floor area. Issued for service, you need 1 space for every 300. So calculated to be like almost 50 spaces. We have shown 57. That's what those little fancy cars are on there for, so you can actually see where we're going to be parking. That's where he parks today. It would be no surprise to any one of you probably. There's 5 waivers, which after I submitted to the engineer. Then we went through the county comments, and there was 2 things on there that I should really added waivers for. This is the current waiver letter. The county, in your ordinance, requires that anytime you do subdivision land development,
Sure.
you require adding curbing and sidewalk. On High Street here, there's already curb and sidewalk along that frontage. On Cherry Street, it's a little bit of an issue. You put curbing there, he can't drive into his facility. He uses that for his entrance and parking the whole way along there. And up on the other alley, which is right next to your building up here, which is Hickory Street, that whole thing there is being used as access to come into his body shop. So it would be a hardship for us to put curb there. And I guess you could put sidewalk, but I don't really think it's necessary to put pedestrians there when there's all this traffic coming in and out there. So we added for a waiver on the waiver letter for those 2. So the first waiver is for plan scale. It's very legible. The second one is preliminary submission. Third one is sheet size. Fourth one's curbing, and fifth one's sidewalk. So the last 2 are really the 2 nuts and bolts of them. The other 3 are pretty much very generic drafting related waivers. But I think our justification for curbing and sidewalk is meritable here, just because it's
This building here is
the borough.
ours.
That is correct.
Right.
That's the borough.
There's no curbing there that I recall.
There is not. there's no curb or sidewalk at all on Hickory Street.
No.
That's a 20-foot little wide
Yeah,
house.
it's an alley.
Yeah, it's
But
all
the
very
borough,
narrow.
the borough built 2 buildings there within the last decade,
Mhm.
and neither one has curbing or sidewalk.
So, but that's really it. Not really too many issues. Pretty clean.
Any questions for Mr. Burgett? Any wish for action?
I'll make a motion to approve it conditional to legal and engineering.
Let's take it one
review.
step at a time.
Oh, okay.
The first step would be whether or not to grant the alteration of requirements, the 5 alteration of requirements as submitted. You can have this figure.
Do they need reviewed at all?
I've reviewed it, I'd recommend that they be granted. I don't think the engineer has any objection to that.
So I'll make a motion to approve the conditions.
The alteration of requirements.
Second.
I'll give it to Roger. A motion by Ms. Young, a second by Mr. Williams to accept the 5 stated alterations of requirements. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Now it would be appropriate to consider the plan itself. Just wanted to say one thing. Keep in mind, the alteration of requirements are, these are requirements which are found within your subdivision and land development ordinance, where you are empowered to alter them as needed to fulfill the purpose of the ordinance. Had these been requirements out of the zoning ordinance, then they'd be having to take it to the zoning hearing board on a variance or some other matter, even if it was an inch, that was out of step. So just keep that in mind for the next plan. This is routine in matters which touch on the subdivision requirement and absolutely forbidden in things which touch the zoning ordinance. So it's a curious matter. So what we would ask for now is a conditional approval of the plan conditioned upon legal and engineering review.
So moved.
You got one, DJ? And second by Ms. Young. To approve the plan conditionally, those conditions being review both legal and engineering. Any further discussion? All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Still under the engineering report, is there anything else from or for the engineer?
Yes, please.
Mr. Lehman?
Where do we stand on the permit that is still to come to us approving the liner to be installed? Do we have any track on that?
Yes, it's with DEP under their review. It's with DEP under their review.
For very what's the word I want to use? It was an essential situation that we do this early in the spring. We had originally planned to have it done in late summer, fall. Then DEP said we had to do it early. We're back to late summer, early fall. When are we going to get it? We're going to get it in time to do it next spring, right?
More than likely, I would say. It's dependent upon
So much
when.
for urgency on the part of the state.
Well-
They're good at telling us, but they're not very good at helping us.
Yeah, and they do have up to 90 days to review the permit application package, but,
Yeah, I
it shouldn't take
understand
them that, well, we would
But
hope it wouldn't take them that long.
It just blows wind in our face. We're trying to improve the borough, and we get nothing from them except letters curtailing what we want to do.
Is that everything?
Yeah, I best shut up.
Anything else from or for the engineer? Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to do the Public Works report, and I think that after we get through that, if you'd like to make your departure this evening, I think that would be okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Mace?
Okay, you have our report for water. there's any questions or comments on it.
I don't think I received that report.
And in the packet,
The original packet.
I do not.
It's mine. Do you want to borrow it?
I'll just take a look. Go ahead.
yeah, unless there's any questions, on the water side, that's.
Oh, okay, I see it now.
See the average there, the gallons, we're concerned about the reservoir, of course, that's kind of out of everybody's hands. And the pending items there, mapping's underway, the booster station, that needs some work there. If there's none of the questions on water, we will.
Any questions on water?
What was the high stage for the river this month? I'm taking it we didn't get anywhere close to 7 feet.
No.
I haven't seen it for ages.
I can answer,
Should be the sewer.
yeah, that would be in the wastewater report. The letters that you got, the revised total coliform rule is just just for information. This is a plan that needed submitted. We've got the plan, I believe. We're following the plan. That needed done by April 1st of 16. So that's underway. This is just an informational letter that you guys got telling you whatever. The other letter that you got is they're just rescinding their notice of monitoring requirements. They said, here's what you're gonna do, and now they changed their mind and said, no, we're gonna do it this way. So as far as water, that's all I have unless there's questions.
Is there anything dangerous or urgent there that you have to mark on?
No, I believe we discussed the inspection report from 14. So the next spring, DEP will be back to do that survey. That's number 2 there, so whatever. There's a couple outstanding items the borough's got to do yet, which you and Crowley and I had spoke. Nothing really earth-shattering. I think we have some other areas we got to get to. So we'll flip the page.
But those items are on the agenda, those are known.
Yes, yeah, we're working, Chris and the borough guys and us are working with that.
Excellent.
So on to wastewater. As far as the NOV, I believe everything is ordered. Chris was waiting on confirmation from me, and the level transducers were ordered. I believe everything else is ordered, and as it comes in, we'll help get that underway as best we can.
We did have one small issue, well, I don't know how small, and Kevin probably can address it more, but Paul reported to me that we have an oil leak with one of the new blower. A guy from the vendor is coming on Thursday to take a look at it. The good news is that if it goes according to plan, he's going to transport the other ones that we're getting for us, and we'll be taking back the ones, hopefully he can repair that one on site, and then the ones we're gonna pull out, he'll be able to take back, so that we don't need to send Paul down with the truck to deliver them. But it will depend what he finds when he comes and looks at the one and figures out why it was leaking the oil.
That's one of the big blowers, one of the new ones. Apparently they walked past it at one point, and later that same day they had a quart of oil or so on the ground.
Yeah, so as far as the list of pending items here, of course, the NOV is the biggest thing, so that's being addressed. I think we're all moving as fast as we can on that.
And DEP is staying on us. They wanted a timetable, and after they got the timetable, they came back with follow-up questions. So we are committed to informing them every step of the way. As soon as something gets completed, we're letting them know and keeping them up to date on it. And making them see that we are working hard to get it all taken care of.
I guess the next thing would be the belt press that consistently makes a mess all the way down 3 floors. Not quite sure what to do with it. I don't know, did we get a report, did we get a report from who was in to look at it? Supposed to be sending us a report, was it a month or so ago?
The manufacturer?
Yeah, well, the manufacturer's rep.
Yeah.
Not
I
sure if
thought
we
that
got
they
that
said that
report.
if we ran it at a lower PSI, correct me Kevin, 60 PSI?
60 gallons a minute, 40 to 60 gallons a minute, yeah.
We would have it would operate more efficiently because it was because of the pipe changing from
Right.
should have been a 6-inch pipe, but instead it's gonna have a 3-inch pipe and
Yeah.
spurting it, correct?
And the other issue is,
We have the wrong pumps.
Right, essentially that's what it came down to. We have the
We got wrong
one.
pumps downstairs.
yeah, that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
The
They
thing that
put the wrong
affects,
pumps in
right, the thing that,
years ago.
the thing that affects it is, it settles, it thickens, and then you walk away from it and it's just all over. So that's a continual battle for us. That's not getting any better, but, so maybe we can look at that after we get the NOV.
Right, and I agree that needs to be the priority, to get those items
Yeah.
taken care of.
Yeah.
Is it realistic to think that those pumps and pipes could be replaced, or?
Over time,
Okay.
Yes.
you're looking at me, so
Yeah, I'm no expert.
frankly, there's a lot of work to be done at that plant in a lot of areas. It's just not one single thing. There are some relatively simple things that could be done pretty quickly, but there are some expensive things that need to be done, and there needs to be 5-year plans, those kinds of things, that the entire system needs to be managed from a total perspective. I don't know.
Weren't we looking at tying that in with another project?
Well,
Wasn't there something else that we were gonna change those pipes out and the pumps at the same time? Or am I thinking a different
No.
spot?
You would think,
Different
I think you were
Okay.
thinking of where we have the valves at, Christie.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, I flush, it goes, that's it.
If you recall, council approved previously, and it was in reaction to the notice of violation, that we've asked Pannoni to conduct a full evaluation and review of the plant, which is also something that, in tidying up how the lease has been dealt with in the past, that's something that we're required to have done and report that to the authority as part of the lease so that they have that information as well. So that is, on Pannoni's schedule to have that taken care of as well. And I think once we get that full report, then we'll be able to, with everybody looking at it, prioritize and figure out what we need to do and then seek out funding for, the
Am I
repairs.
out of line asking a question there? Who at Pennoni?
Can I ask that question? I don't want Ron Brown as the engineer in that.
Oh, no,
sir.
no,
Okay,
no.
thank
We
you.
have, actually, I heard Greg mention Tim Daly out of our Philly office that,
Okay.
yeah, that's
Thank you.
his bailiwick, and he would
Thank
be
you.
coming in to
And
conduct
Ron
that
will be the first to
evaluation.
say he's not.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I talked to Ron and he keeps telling me, well, they won't send him. I said, well, Ron, I don't need a traffic study done, I need a sewer plan. Sorry, but that's Ron's engineering degree.
Right.
Known Ron all my life.
What I've heard from you two so far tonight is the pumps we have in the basement.
First floor.
First floor. It's the one
First
being,
floor.
yes, it's the furthest bay over on the first floor of the
Yeah.
new building.
They're smaller than what we should have. Would that help us push the water out when the river hits
No, no, no.
7.5?
Different pump.
Different pump.
Different
This is
pump.
pumping up 3 stories to a belt press.
Okay,
Different issue.
but do we have the right size pump
For the river?
for the
Yes,
river?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Todd, would you be able to get us a price, just so we have an idea on what type of price it is
Yeah.
for that new, for a pump and 6-inch pipe up to the bell press?
You know,
Just so that we can at least think about what, and I'm not saying do this like tomorrow, like,
Well, I believe that was recently changed. I'm not sure what was done there right prior to us getting here.
that's what yeah,
Right.
I'm aware of that, I know
Yeah.
Roger is. We've talked about that, but it's not working, and that's why it's not working, so I feel like we should at least, let's take a look and see what it would.
Yeah. I'm
because
just
we're
wondering-
spending money for you guys to stand up there and clean that up. That should be an automatic operation.
We wanna
Yeah,
get back to the
You never know
automatic
when it's gonna
operation.
happen.
Absolutely. So if we look at how many man hours you're spending every day, 7 days a week, 30, all year, that pump is gonna be expensive. But if we look at the total picture, that pump is gonna be cheap. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, sure, because we can cut them back to 4 hours a day.
Absolutely.
And that's original setup was that way.
Yes.
The least amount of hours
Yes.
that we
And I
had to
guess-
use that.
And that,
I guess my
Never been
concern is, should we look at, from an engineering standpoint there, as far as what's needed? We have varying pipe sizes, and then we come in 6,
What's
we go down
needed
to
is
3.
the original
Go
pump.
back to the original
that was
print.
in there, because they took that original pump out. It was 6-inch, 6-inch. They took that original pump out, they bought a cheap pump, dropped 6-inch down to 2-inch or 3-inch, and then went back up to 6-inch again. Even a dumb electrician can look at that and say, that is not gonna work. We don't need any engineering studies. We need to go back the way that plant was originally put together, and it worked for how many years?
Isn't
I'm
part
not
of,
opposed to an engineering study per se, but it needs to be in terms of a 5-year plan kind of thing. You're not gonna go in there and just fix this plan overnight, because we don't have enough money in our pockets to do it.
I guess what
It's that simple.
I'm looking at is these new smaller pumps were put in, and then we got a new control panel upstairs. So I guess, is the new pump we put in going to communicate with that guy?
Yeah,
Is that all?
you're looking at all,
I'll get prices on pumps of what was there, not a
Mhm.
problem, done, we'll get that done, but,
Even if it's rough, even if we have to change it up, and that gives us some
Yeah.
sort of ideas to
Right.
try to
And
think.
we're also in the process of seeking financing for the
Right.
sewer line and
Right.
notice of violation items. If this is something that's gonna pay for itself in, I don't know, a year or 2, 6 months even, I think it's very prudent to include that in that financing.
Yeah, I think there's probably about 2 or 3 projects that we've talked about. One would be the headworks, right?
Yes.
Kevin, you've talked about it with us. What was the other one? Switching some of the piping up in the one room and this project. They're things that we could think about for,
And the grit screen.
yeah.
if I might ask a question, one more question. When I was approached about getting back on to the municipal authority, I was told that this current group would be open to an operating authority. An authority that would actually operate the sewer system, if you will. And so far, in the several months that I've been back on the authority, I've heard nothing about that, other than a few rumors here and there. So I guess my question is, and I think Chris kind of had the same kind of question, it's not that we're butting heads, but we've got different management groups in this thing. And like Roger said, I was kind of embarrassed at our joint operating committee meeting this past week when one of the Penn Township members was questioning our engineer on some things. And we didn't even know whether we had properly tested the manholes down through the brand-new Market Street project. Now, back to my question, is there any consideration by this group of having an operating municipal authority?
I can speak for myself and say that I don't totally understand the difference between the two and what would be involved to go through that process, and certainly the potential financial implications for the borough's general fund and other, other operations. If we can be provided information, I know that's something I've discussed with Roger, and the limited amount that I understand makes me think it's a good idea, but I don't want to rush into something that I frankly don't fully understand. I would venture a guess that there are others at this table that aren't utility experts, that if we could get the information and understand the process, the financial challenges that may or may not come with it, the financial rewards that may or may not come with it, and what it actually looks like in the end, I think anything is eligible for discussion.
Well, basically, from my point of view, the municipal authority, the way it operates right now, you don't need mechanics, you don't need people that understand how it operates. All you need to do is walk down the street, pick the first 5 people you come to, seriously, and ask them to rubber stamp whatever it is you folks want to do. And in most cases, it, probably not be Chris that decides what you're going to do. An operating authority would actually manage the entire municipal system. Now, there are ways you can do that, and the municipal authority can end up working with the municipality, in this case, our front office, and get secretarial and treasury services, computer service, any of your management, secretarial type things from your office. So there are ways that you can work this situation so that you would still be able to recognize revenue from the municipal authority to help with the management of the borough's secretarial staff and
I don't.
management staff.
Can you formulate a proposal?
I'll make a motion that we go to an operating authority with a team of 2, 2 from council, 2 from the authority, to get together and come back to us with their proposed agreement for next council meeting. And we would switch, if agreed upon, to switch to a working authority and take the sewer off of this table. I'm tired of sitting here listening to sewer for 2 hours every month.
Bill, is that an appropriate
Everything
process?
would go through your council, their council.
Well, I mean, if it's a question of thinking about it, talking about it, developing a plan, that's fine. The catch in these always is the finance. Are there outstanding debts, for instance, held by the authority, or vice versa? It's not unheard of there's many municipalities with operating authorities. I represent one. Comes to mind is Liverpool. They have a operating authority. They share expenses on various pieces of equipment and people and office and that sort of thing. Okay, but I've also done away with the authority altogether and pulled it all into the borough. If there's no right now the purpose of, with the way you're set up, the purpose of the authority is financial, to incur debt to finance it, which is paid for by the lease to the borough. But if it sets up financially that they're no longer any use, then they can be done away with, and it can be run by the borough. That would be a streamlining, and I've done that with municipalities. It's something that really needs to be think about, and primarily in relation to what's sitting out there. Who has the debt, and what are that's something that really should be reviewed by the financing, which is what we're, financial folks, which is what's going on now. You know, it can be done. You know, I told you that the first day, Roger. You came over to me and patted me on the back and said, let's think about this, and
So we have a motion, we probably should have had a second before we continue discussion, I apologize.
I'll second Roger.
Okay. So Roger, your motion is to,
I've
For
heard from,
agreement.
yes,
and then,
to bring it back to us, what they are proposing, what they can do for us to take the sewer away from us. And I know that there is a loan sitting out there, Penvest loan. We have to look at that and so forth. But I'm in favor of this, of that switching to that. So it would just be to get something started.
so the motion will be to have the current non-operating authority propose an agreement
To go
to
to an
become an operating.
operating authority.
Then the council could act upon that.
Correct.
At the appropriate time. In the interim, we could have some of the financial part reviewed, legal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you be willing to add to consider the water project too? Only because that's something that we've already, with the potential for joining with Penn Township, there's many different ways you can set that up. One way could be to do the water similar to the sewer and have it be under one municipal authority. Now, this isn't something.
We already tasked the authority with looking into that.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that, I just figured add that so that if that becomes part of, if found in that proposal that that is the
That's
best way to
fine.
do it, bring it back here anyways.
That's fine.
Because that actually is on, me and Bob were in a meeting last week with CEDACOG about the water project. And they told us now's the time to start deciding what type of agreement you're gonna set up with Penn Township if you're gonna do it, so.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Is your second still good?
Yes.
Any further discussion?
I had some discussion.
Mr. Epley?
When this authority was set up years ago, it probably was suitable for the borough. But as the meetings went on and on and on, we get more involved. There's umpteen people that have to make decisions in this. It comes to the council. If we had an operating authority that could just run the plant themselves, I think either way, the borough's gonna be responsible for debt. I'm not sure of that, but we're gonna be the end means for paying anything. If we could get the operational part off of the table here, instead of coming to us and saying, well, we need this and we need that, and then we hassle about the price and well, can we get it done and so forth. We need the people in the operational authority to say, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to run it. They come back with a report to borough. I'm like Roger, I am tired of coming in here and hassling with this sewer plant all the time because we have to get involved. Too many people are involved.
Is there any? I'm sorry.
It's got to be streamlined somehow. I'm not an
I think my concern or my little bit of heartburn with this, and I'm certainly not, well versed on the whole sewer piece, but I think there's, a significant financial impact. And ultimately, the residents are the ones that are going to be footing the bill to pay for whatever decisions are made. So while it's kind of annoying that we get together and talk poop for a couple hours, it's also the checks and balances to make sure that we're doing things as fiscally responsible and that we have the ability or the plan in place to make sure everything gets paid for. Because ultimately, we're financially on the hook for all of this. So to take that piece out scares me a little bit, and I don't know how all of those pieces tie together. I'm okay with the conversation beginning. A big piece of this, and I know, people get annoyed with me saying this, but a big part of this is going to come out of the EIP and the recommendations that come out of that plan as well, of how financially this borough can do what we need to do and still provide adequate water and sewer to our residents.
Well, if you look back, the borough, in our position right now, hasn't run the sewer plant very well. That's what I'm looking at.
We haven't done a good job.
I
because-
don't disagree.
So why don't we put it in the hands of somebody that's going to run it, where we have some type of oversight, but we're not sitting here every time deciding on a 4,000 piece of electronics or a $7,000 blower or whatever else. That shouldn't be in this council here. They should come to us and say, here's what we need to fix the plant, and we're gonna fix it, this is what it's gonna cost. It's gonna cost the same if they do it than if we sit here for hours and decide we're gonna do it.
Having watched some things play out in Penn Township the last couple of years with the authority, I think that it ends up being very well run because their authority is able to present their plans and requests as well as reports on what was done to the township supervisors. And the township supervisors basically say, yeah, we can get you the money to pay for it, or hold on a minute, we have to find some money. And I think that's, the bottom line is the stuff's gonna need done either way. How we do it and all the little nitty gritty details should be worked out before it ever gets to this table.
I'll say too that in the discussions that have been held so far, the borough's financials have not been ignored. It's been it actually, might have been a point of contention at one point, but no, it's not. We've been taking that into account as first and foremost. And we think that the ways we've talked about it have been, we think it could be a good thing for the borough's finances in doing this.
I think that's yet to be seen.
And that's something that we talked about, maybe talking with Mark Morgan about, because we really do think that there's a way this could help both sides.
And certainly that plays into whatever our EIP will look like, the early intervention plan, whatever that will look like in the next 5 years, that has a significant impact. And he may have some insight that, that none of us have thought of, so I think that's certainly appropriate.
And I'm assuming he has, sample agreements that we could even, possibly work off of. I mean, he has the expertise and the background with working with other municipalities that are going through similar things. So if that's the recommendation, I'm sure he'd be able to get the resources.
Now, I don't know if that would require a motion. Do we want Mark to be asked to attend something to that effect?
Well, he's going to do that as part of the EIP process anyway. Once we get through this first hurdle, he's going to be meeting with every part
Oh,
of
I
the
understand. I
operations.
mean, if we're gonna start this conversation, wouldn't it be valuable to at least contact him and say, what do you think? I get that he's working on the plan, but maybe he doesn't know something that we could provide information, either as borough or the sewer authority.
I don't have any reservations.
See if he'll attend something to.
Yeah, he'll be a part of that conversation without question.
I'm sure he would be willing to help formulate that proposal, whatever it may be, or if you prefer, you could make the proposal so that it's,
Oh, I'd rather have his input, because I really think that it could, as we preliminary did numbers ourselves, we talked about having them come, so.
Good.
Maybe I don't want to ask this question, but it gives me some background. Maybe I don't want to hear the answer. If this is, the authority as it is was created many years ago.
Just to borrow money.
Right.
That's it.
But why, these sewer issues are nothing new, the plan issues are nothing new. Why would the former council not have taken this on? Or why wasn't this discussion previous?
From my point of view, I'm just gonna be blunt about it, it's
Tell them
our
no.
issue.
It's a what?
It's a political issue.
That's what I feared.
Yes,
And
and that's irrelevant, I think, right
it's
now.
why I got off.
I'm trying to understand
I don't think
why
that's
if this is such a no-brainer, why is it taking until 2016 to get to this point?
I was on the municipal authority before, and I got off of it because of
Didn't do anything.
where we're at.
You were tired of being a puppet.
All you do, at that time, we had two council members, Mr. Hamaker and
Mr. Bell.
Mr. Bell, and they were on, and most of the time, we were lucky if we had 4 people. So you'd sit there and vote on something, and whatever, to be honest with you, council wanted, those two were gonna vote the way they wanted to run the municipal, the sewer plant. The problem is, they really didn't have the expertise to run the sewer plant. And, you know, I don't wanna get into politics here, but that's just the way that it's been run for many years. And all that those of us that were on the municipal authority at that time did was, okay, you know, it's okay, go ahead and do this, go ahead and do that. If we maintain it the way it is right now, that's all we're doing. Because in all seriousness, we can't do anything without,
And I guarantee
you make the
I'm not
decision.
wasting my time going to meetings if I can't get in there and fix that plant. Because I wanna, and there's other members that wanna get in there and fix that plant. Because if we don't, DEP's gonna come down and they're gonna fine us, and it's all gonna cost us, every one of us, money. We need to fix that plant, we need to fix it now. I need to be in there tomorrow with parts and pieces, fixing that plant. I need to know also, right now, when you get equipment, you need to call us. We will go in and put that equipment in. Because if we're gonna wait around until we hee-haw around and we wait 3 or 4 months, 6 months, till you get this working authority, we need to know, some of us need to know, that we can get in there and fix stuff now.
And I think that's been
That's
very
because
clear.
we need to be involved now.
Right.
Whether we have a working authority or not. Because if not, I'm going fishing. I'm gonna go make a movie.
Well,
And then,
You're gonna be an actor.
I'm gonna be something, I don't know what. But we need to fix stuff now.
But
And
I thought
there's
we
some
had-
frustration right now with not getting parts and pieces, not getting information. As soon as we got them those floats, they were installed.
But I thought we'd agreed that you guys are able to go in and work on stuff. We had just asked to be
We-
coordinated through Chris, because he's the one
We
getting the
haven't gotten
letters.
parts and pieces.
Well,
We have
Paul has
not
everything
gotten, we have
ordered.
not gotten any phone calls either, Chris.
well, it gets into,
We need to know what's going on. This council needs to make some kind of connection here before we have a working authority.
Yeah, we need a working
It gets into-
authority that is responsible for running and maintaining the
Right.
plant.
But
Now,
before we
if you
get there, we have to do something else,
Yes.
because we're in dire straits.
But I wanna get it off this, start to get something, get off
Yes.
this table from us making operational decisions, it seems right here.
there,
I
there
want
was,
it done soon.
I agree.
there was a meeting this past week, and I am not saying that what the borough manager did was wrong in any way. He went to a meeting with Pinoni, and they sat there and they decided what we were going to do, how much we were going to spend, what direction we were going to go. Now, in fairness, very much in fairness to Chris, he told me the other day when I was in and visited in the office, gave me some details of that meeting. But no one on the authority who, I mean, we actually own that plant. Like it or not, and legally, we're the owners. But we're the owners that have no authority. The word authority is very loosely used because the only authority we have is to go ask Penn Best for money, and the only way they'll give us the money is if the borough backs that. And that's the only reason you have an authority right now, and that's how it's operated all these years. You've got people that are willing to operate it if you want them to. It's no skin off of my back. You can keep it the way it is. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm not faulting Chris in his operation. He's only been here a few months. So all those problems with that plant aren't his, unless they stay his. And the fact is, then I just make a decision, you don't need me then. You really don't need me. And you don't need him.
Just to be clear, the meeting that I held with Pinoni was in connection, and I'll be reporting more on it in my report, with a grant opportunity that came forward that would enable us to possibly get grant funding for a project we already have planned. And so we sat down and reviewed what would the scope of the project be that would meet the parameters of the grant program so that we could come to council tonight with this proposal and seek their blessing to seek the grant. You know, it wasn't
And
like,
I'm
it
not-
wasn't like we had a meeting and dreamed up, this is
No,
what
we
we're gonna do
got-
to the
no,
plant,
no.
this is all
I-
pipes
I
that
don't-
have to be replaced and that have been mapped and televised.
If it came across that way, I didn't mean it for the,
No, and I understand, Bob, because you and I have talked, but I just want to make sure it's clear to
Right.
the audience that, you know, this was not, you know, anybody trying to usurp the authority or do something without the authority's involvement or help or in any way, shape, or form. This was to gather information to bring an idea to the council as a way to try to pay for some of the repairs that we know we need in our mains, and that's something that's identified in the report from DEP.
it all boils down to who's on first and whether you really need us or not. What the solicitor said is correct. You can get rid of the authority. You really can. And as far as I'm concerned, other than let you plan to go out and get another big bond or something, I mean, I'll be happy to wait for a call for the zoning meeting every 2 years.
We have a motion with a second to, for both purposes of sewer and water, have the current non-operating authority prepare and present an agreement for the council to consider. Is that my understanding of the motion? Yes. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor give your consent by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So we'll, I think, move forward with looking into what that looks like. And again, I don't want you guys to go anywhere in the interim, but at least know we'll consider whatever's proposed and certainly have to weigh the financial and operational impact on both sides.
Understand.
So in the
We ain't going
meantime,
fishing now.
Not yet.
in the
Not yet.
meantime, what do you need from us in order to be able to make repairs and things?
Yeah, we're available. All I need to know is what's going on, and we should have had, I don't understand why we haven't had parts and pieces.
It was a matter of identifying, for example, Todd, you want to speak to the, I think it was the DO controls that we had the issue trying to identify the precise.
Rio controllers, we had to wait till the stars were aligned and everything. See, the screens are out. We talked about the sun
I
getting.
understand.
We finally got the right numbers on the right day. The screens lit up enough. We got the numbers. We called in. We got what we needed.
Okay,
We got them ordered.
okay.
Um,
And.
Everything is ordered now, waiting. So as it comes, we can,
Mhm.
you know.
If I could address one other issue, the one letter that we got, that you sent to DEP, there was a line on there that said all work would be performed by outside contractors. You sent to DEP.
I don't think it's at all by outside contractors because if it was, that was not intentional because
Okay.
borough crews are doing a lot of the work already.
Okay. I want to make sure.
You wanted to clarify that, because we had talked about that
Yes.
before. To make sure that that wasn't the intent.
Yes.
Is that- Okay.
No, in fact, Paul has
Okay.
been down there working on the blowers and so forth already.
Okay.
And
And I didn't know that, hopefully that would not be a problem with DEP. Hopefully they wouldn't look at that and say, oh, well, you're supposed to have
they
it.
care that we get it done, I believe.
Yeah, they just
Well,
wanna- they just
I'm
wanna
thinking
work.
that too. I just want to make sure there weren't any issues there with that. Okay.
Was that the August 10th letter?
No, that was before that. That was the
It was-
first
I
letter.
have the other letter, I
First
don't have it.
response to the DEP, I think, when we got the list of 10 things, it was,
That would have been July or something.
it was after the big meeting that we had about the,
I'm done.
Still on the operator,
Did I cause that ruckus?
yes?
Yeah.
We received, or I received an email dated, I'm sorry, we should have had this in July, I don't know why I missed it. Dated July 6th, reference to a bill that was not paid for fire hydrant flushing April 19th, 20th, and 21st. Previous years, that was all included in our contract and agreement. This year, because of a failure of the belt press, and because the extra time it took to dechlorinate to do the fire hydrant
And the pressures.
pressure readings, there's an additional amount of $1,382.35 that Bill had already reviewed this and Chris had looked at it, basically at the direction of council if we wish to pay that overage.
The reason you didn't have it in July was because Todd wouldn't be here for that meeting.
Okay, I'm
So
sorry.
we waited until he could be here to.
Did you want to expand on that at all?
Well, what happened was we set everything up to flush the hydrants, and all the years since we've been here, we provided an operator to do that. And it's in the contract, which you have a page out of the contract. So we planned everything, we got Chris, we advertised, planned it, and moments before we were ready to go, the belt press did its thing and come down 3 floors. So it was days of cleaning and not doing the flushing, or doing the flushing that we had told everybody and posted and everything else. So I brought another guy in to flush to keep that going rather than re-advertising and delaying the flushing. So that's what I'm asking for. I guess it could have been maybe billed through sewer instead of water to clean the mess, but that's the bottom line. The guy that we had planned to assist the borough flushing was at the sewer plant flushing all the brown down. So
I think your letter provides an adequate explanation for not yet.
I tried, it's kind of hard to put all the pieces together, but
Make a motion to pay the additional expense.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Williams and a second by Mr. Epley to approve payment of the $1,382.35. That's from water.
Well, I wish he would have wrote it different and explained it that being in the sewer plant, if that can be changed, I would pay it out of the sewer fund.
Yeah, it would be cleaner for it to go through
Yes.
sewer.
Yeah, essentially, it's essentially being billed for water for a sewer
Yes.
item, so it'd be easier if we just billed sewer.
Do we need to have a new bill submitted for that purpose, a separate bill?
I think with the addendum of that letter to explain it better.
Bill, what do you say?
You have to agree.
Submit a new bill and pay it.
Submit a new bill and pay it.
Submit a new bill for sewer for that
so
time.
submit the bill for that particular amount.
Yes.
Under sewer,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
For the cleanup, right? Because that's
Right,
essentially what it's
correct,
for.
because the
Well,
contract covers the
And revise the water
flushing.
bill.
Right.
I guess my only question would be, Todd, was there any difference in the rate of the operator that was doing the cleanup and the one that was doing the flushing?
Yeah, it's reflected there.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Motion to pay the $1,382.35 by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Epley, paid from sewer upon receipt of a replacement invoice. Any further discussion? All those in favor give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Anything else from the operator?
Not a place to.
Anything from the operator?
Vicki?
Letter C, the solicitor.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Anything for or from the solicitor? Letter D, I believe Chief Warner's out of town. There's been some discussion on the burning ordinance review. Also, the hydrant flow testing data is in Chris's office for delivery to Chris.
I actually have it here. I was hoping Byron would be here.
We have a meeting in 2 weeks. If you don't see him beforehand, we have the
We've
fire committee meeting.
been trading emails, but he's been out of town a lot and it's helped to get.
Who's gonna paint the hydrants? Do we paint them then? Didn't they ask that we paint them to reflect the flow? That was a request by the fire department.
Yes. At one point, the old hydrants were. That was my Eagle Scout project in 1992.
I mean, we could
But
talk about
most of those
Scout
hydrants have
project
since
again.
been replaced.
Best ones was the Girl Scouts when they painted for people.
Are you looking for volunteers maybe to paint?
Actually, if we can get that coordinated with the fire company, it's in my report, just in the written report, but we have begun working with, there's an organization called George Junior Republic that administers a community service work program for the juvenile probation office in the county. In fact, Thursday morning, they're going to have 2 kids here that are going to help do some painting of the fences up at Cooper Field as the first thing they're going to be involved in. And Mike has a list of other painting and similar projects, so we can easily add that if we can get it done preferably in the summertime, just because it's going to be difficult to coordinate hours with them when they go back to school. But for the remainder of August, well, we don't have a lot of time left, but we have some time that we can get. And we can also, we did have conversations with the George Junior Republic people about, there may be ways that we can arrange some community service hours in after-school hours, and we'll just, adjust the schedule of one of our crew people to be there to, assist and oversee and so forth by having them, work a later shift or something like that if we need to do that in order to take advantage of the opportunity and to provide that community service work.
And, I mean, if we had other volunteers, I assume we'd be okay with that. Like, if Appalachian Trail wanted to have volunteer, I don't know, High Street, just because that's probably what is most for you guys.
Just a comment, other municipalities we worked for chose to paint fire hydrants all red due to the liability of color coding them for flow.
Most of them
Just
now
throwing
are
it out
red.
there.
When we did the coding in 1992, we did yellow bodies, they were old hydrants, most of them have probably been replaced since then.
Yeah.
We did yellow bodies for visibility and red caps, and red is basically the lowest level, other than black out of service, red is the lowest level
Right.
because the flow on everything, with the exception of maybe one, was less than 500 gallons a minute. So they were all, blue I think is the top, I think it's red, green, blue. And, the borough system at that time, I'm not sure where it is now, but the borough system at that time was basically deficient, red indicated deficient. So yes, we were, coding them, but they were all coded as basically the worst you could be other than black for out of service. So I think knowing some of that data, that was the fire company's request, but knowing some of that data, if we have, good data of what they are, and there are some that are significantly better than others, we can hopefully outline those and report back to the fire company at minimum.
And Chris, keep in mind with the humidity up, just watch your dry time. Because I'm trying to paint parts and the weather is horrible.
If you paint, just another comment, if you're painting fire hydrant paint, it dries just like that.
DJ, if you could put that on your discussion agenda for firing for the 8:30 meeting.
Yes.
And the last item there is the Fire Protection Committee. That's the committee comprised of representatives from Penn, Wheatfield, and the borough on, I believe that's Tuesday the 30th at 7 p.m. at the firehouse in town.
September the 30th, you said?
August 30th.
August 30th?
Yes.
And time?
7 p.m. Is there anything else to be relayed to the fire company? Mayor is not here tonight, however, I believe we do have a written report from the Penn Township Police Department. Corporal Jason Myers is also here. Did you have anything to add in addition to the written report?
Yeah, I can say a couple words. First off, thank you to the resident here who mentioned our incident the other night. We've been very busy. Of course, the summertime brings that with most police agencies. I think somebody here mentioned earlier about the possible car break-ins we had on High Street. We did receive that report. Upon one of the officers' arrival, 2 subjects did run. Unfortunately, they weren't able to be located. Some property on the car was reported to be taken. From what we're gathering, and what usually this comes from, is what we call opportunistic type thefts. If you leave your car unlocked, they're going to come around and they work door handles. That's what these kids do. They walk up down the streets, they find a car that's left unlocked, they rummage through it, they leave the valuable stuff that we feel is valuable, and they take the stupidest things. They're leaving GPS monitors and stuff and taking a cup full of change and soda. So either way, try to keep your stuff locked up. We've received no reports of any actual car break-ins where the car has actually been, windows have been broken or doors have been pried. Like I said, it's just been opportunistic type stuff. We get that a lot here. Marysville Borough gets a lot of the same thing. We recently went to a 12-hour shift rotation for our patrol guys. What we found very quickly now and what we're seeing is that it's going to create more of a stability. There's four officers, so to say, now that are our core officers who are here 99.9% of the time. So what that does for the residents of this community and for Penn Township is you now will see a consistent officer. he's gonna know exactly when he's working, he's able to follow up on his caseload. Myself as a supervisor and chief, we now can assign caseload to guys, where before it was more of a very part-time basis with all part-time guys trying to fill 24 hours on 8-hour shifts. So we're very excited about that. We just posted on our Facebook page, and of course I'll bring up, we do have a Facebook page. We're trying very hard to keep shuffling information out there to everybody on road closures and stuff that we are handling. I just posted today about a thing about an internet exchange location. I don't know if anybody really knows exactly what those are, but it's a safe location for people who purchase things on Craigslist or eBay, even custody exchanges. It is a designated place in the parking lot that is on camera 24/7, so it's always under video surveillance. You can come there, meet your people who you don't have any idea who these people are, conduct your exchanges, whatever the case may be, and that is a designated safe location. So we're going to try to see if we can get that in the works. The chief and I are actively working on that right now. But yeah, again, it's been busy. We're going to continue the foot patrols in the borough are a necessity right now. We have the guys out on bike on the weekends. Weather permitting, we're going to try to keep the summer at a high note right now and try to do our best to continue out the rest of the year. So, I don't know if anybody has any questions. Also, some of you may have seen the speed trailer. We've deployed the speed trailer. If you guys have access to Facebook, I don't care, I'll take a phone call, but we got some reports today on Lincoln Hill Road out in the township due to Delville Road being closed. I guess there's a lot of speeding on Lincoln Hill Road. If anybody here in the borough has concerns, I think it's out on High Street right now. What I'm trying to do is shuffle that trailer between the township and the borough and put it in our problem area. So if there is a concerned area that either anybody here has or council has, let me know. We'll gladly stick that thing out there, and it does deter some speed.
I have a question. A couple of days ago, I witnessed a police officer chase a guy down. He lived up, the guy he was chasing lived up above, up behind Smith's Funeral Home. He went to question the guy, and the guy took off. And when he ran him down, he got him. Was out there and seen the whole thing. Well, he had him for about an hour. He got him in handcuffs and stuff. This same gentleman that he has chased down is running with a pack of young boys from Duncannon. They're up there at, we're calling Dirty Dan's place. They hang out in there. The gentleman he chased down, if you want to call him a gentleman, has long hair down to here. I don't know if his name is Josh, or John, Dave, or what.
Okay.
So, when he had him there and questioned him and everything else, then he turned him loose. Why? Why did he run?
The warrant that was issued for that gentleman was not in our county.
Okay.
The information that we have, that we get, they're called AOPC warrants. A lot of those things are whether from Cumberland, Dauphin County. They're a warrant for us, which gives us the ability to go out and actively arrest these people. We then need a hit confirmation or that warrant to be confirmed by that department. We had another case of the same type of thing this weekend. We took a gentleman into custody, contacted the police agency in Cumberland County. They said they didn't want it. They didn't even want to deal with it. So that happened.
So you left him in Duncannon.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's,
We have enough trouble now in Duncannon.
yeah, and that's things that are kind of out of our help.
Like I said, he's still running this one.
Yeah, you get that a lot on the weekends. Some agencies, with the courthouses not being open and have the ability to go and arraign this subject, a lot of police departments, they're like,
And the same bunch,
direct them to court on Monday.
same bunch is hanging down at 120 Market Street, North Market.
Yeah.
And that guy in there, he's going.
Yeah.
Well, you know what he's doing. But,
Mr. Howell, if you have specific information for these guys, it may be better to bring it forth to them instead of on the record in the meeting. If you want to have a discussion when...
Meeting so everybody else in here knows what's going on.
I understand that, but we want to
We don't
get
have
back...
a reporter in Duncannon.
We want to get back to the business if we can,
Okay.
before we do anything else.
No, nothing else.
No, I just want to make sure, if he needs a witness, you know,
Okay,
to protect them or something like that,
thank you.
I'm around.
Absolutely, thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Ask you one quick question.
Marty?
There was an arrest stolen on High Street, and domestic abuse, and you had the guy down, he had drugs on him. Are you able to say what drugs he had?
Marijuana, and some other paraphernalia was on him.
No heroin?
No heroin.
On that note, I had asked the chief last month at the July meeting if he had information on drug arrests in the borough for the year. Has he compiled that information, or do you have that information?
Yeah, I have some basic information here. I don't have the entire report. Basically, what you have from January until now is 11 confirmed drug arrests.
In the borough?
That's total.
Between
We
Penn
did
Township
not,
and the
yeah, I didn't break that down. That's total. I believe, just off the top of my head, because what I did then was, I did January to June. I've only been here since June, so I looked back as far as I possibly could. I think it was, don't quote me on this, I think it was like 5 and 2 or something like that prior to June. I do know though that from June till now, we've had 7 drug arrests alone since June. So what we've had prior to June, was basically 4 is what it's looking like. Since June, we've had 7. And DUIs are kind of on that same line. You had...
And the 7 is Penn Township and the borough, both. You didn't break those down?
I did not. I didn't break any of this down. Because the way, honestly, to sit there, the way our report prints out is it's all combined for us right now, so it all just goes by generated reports. So I look down through theirs by the UCR code. It either says, if it's a drug arrest, or if it's a DUI, or if it's a warrant arrest, whatever the case may be. I'd have to physically go into each report, pull that report out, look at the location, and which I very well could have done, but I didn't. I just have total calls for you. And even DUIs right now for us, there's 7. Coincidentally, we have 7 DUI arrests since June. And we have 4 alone in July. And looking back prior to June, there's 6. So we've had 6 the entire year.
6 months, and then 7 in 1 month.
And 7 in these last, really a month and a half. So, we've really, the guys are motivated. We're trying to do a really good job. We are aware of the concerns that everybody in this community is concerned of. And I can tell you, I can't say a lot on it, but I can tell you that some active measures are being taken at this point as far as just the drug issues alone. We are working on other things. And also, too, just to back up on that also, don't think for a second that those numbers are extremely low. Unfortunately, and I can say this, I've been part of the drug task force and still am to the county. There's a lot of using, if you will. So we will pinch a guy on something. That gentleman then will provide us information, which will lead another to arrest somebody else, and that may or may not be in this borough. It could be in Wheatfield Township for all we know, but that arrest does not account for us then. So there could be 20 arrests since January for the year. But unfortunately, when it comes down to the DA's office and things like that, they work these guys, we flip them, so to say. They give us information, we use them to buy off of other people. Their charges go away, we move up the ladder. And so those things are not reflected in these numbers either. And I know that there has been a lot of that prior to me coming here. And we are actively doing this type of things now even, because we are trying to get to the people who are making the biggest impact in this borough. So that's all I've got.
Anything else for the police department?
One quick question.
I can't get all 5.
I'm sorry. I thought there was a number that we could call like an anonymous tip hotline. Does that exist, or is that my imagination?
What my hope was, and I think with the chief as well, starting this Facebook page, the whole private message thing.
Okay.
I would love to see people try to take that approach. And honestly, we've had some phone calls from people who have just called a non-emergency number. They don't even tell me who I'm talking to, you know what I mean? They just give us information. But there is no designated line actually set up. I don't know if,
Perry County Crime Stoppers, I believe, have an 888
I was just gonna
number.
say that, and I didn't know if, I don't mean to put her out there, but Lisa with This is Duncannon, I don't know if she has something set up where she was taking some
She
information.
had offered a Google Voice number on those,
Okay.
probably about a month, maybe 6 weeks ago.
Okay, and I know that, you know, she's filtered some stuff our way as well, so, you know, I implore people to give us information. You know, I hated the fact that we were receiving things a few days after the fact. You know, it's hard to do anything about that kind of stuff. But, you know, we received some good information. We had a couple thefts. We had some burglaries from the old sled works and stuff like that. We got a little information. We actually just, we located the stuff, actually got all the property back. Charges have been filed on these people. So, you know, things are, the cogwheel's turning. We're on motion now.
Anything else for the police department? Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, everybody.
Under the mayor's report as well, codes enforcement, Anthony's here, he has submitted a written report with some of the properties specifically. A lot of warning letters, 30 warning letters included in that report. Tony, would you like to add anything?
The only thing I was going to add is just to give the residents, I know last meeting they were concerned with the status of 630. And,
630 High Street.
Yeah, 630 High Street. And I guess, you know, we've been taking care of it there for a little while, and we're compiling the cost for that, and what we paid out for that work to get done. And I finally got HUD to take responsibility for that property, and they said they're going to pay whatever we have an itemized list on. But that's one thing they stipulated, was it needs to be itemized, it just can't be a figure.
Great, thank you.
Anything from Mr. Place?
You can navigate HUD, you're in, man.
Between HUD and Chase Bank, and that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anything else from or for the codes enforcement officer? Moving on to the secretary, Kathy.
Nothing.
The manager, Mr. Corby.
Start with the agenda items, the FEMA snow removal emergency reimbursement status. We've got all the information. We're looking to schedule a meeting with FEMA to go down and sit down and review everything and get everything finalized. Hopefully we'll be able to do that in the next week or two. It's been hard to get out of the office because of our staffing situation right now, so that's slowed that down. The fee schedule review and updates, I'm still waiting. Perhaps I didn't understand, but I thought the council was going to get back to me with feedback on the proposed fee schedule that we had submitted previously, so that we could make revisions to bring that for formal action, and I haven't heard anything. I know that there were some comments made, but we didn't have any, I thought council wanted to review that and get back to me with ideas of anything we want to change.
Does anyone have anything specific for the fee schedule that wasn't already considered or that needed? I know there was discussion at this table, but I don't know there was any specific follow-up.
I know that Councilman Williams had a revision to the park usage, that we already have that noted, but didn't know if we had any others or not. If not, I'll get that finalized.
There were two revisions. You had one for parks and then about the trash. This was the only two revisions from what we originally did.
Other than what we discussed at this table.
If you can get hard copies to us before the meeting, we could hopefully be prepared then for the September meeting
Yes.
to adopt that fee schedule.
In addition to, before we get into that grant application, two updates that happened since the report was compiled for you, the written report. One, we've been hampered, going back before I was here, in an inability to change the passwords and update the voicemail system on the phone system. We finally found the vendor, and actually, thank you, Council President Nace, for finding that name, and we talked to them. I spent 2 hours on the phone with their tech support people this week, and every trick they have for resetting the passwords failed, but their next suggestion is there is a way to make an Ethernet connection directly into the phone system, and using a laptop, we should be able to access it and clear out the old passwords and be able to then reset the system. So tomorrow or Thursday, I'm going to bring my personal laptop in to connect it because it's down in the basement, so we can't run a cord from, any of our desktop machines that we have here. And hopefully that will work and we'll be able to update the voicemail system and get that done, so.
The background to that is that goes back at least 2 years. If anyone calls into the office, Clarissa's voice and Tanya's voice are still on the voicemail. And if you leave a voicemail, no one has access to listen to those voicemails.
The other update for you is that I got a call from the county treasurer, and 18 and 22 North Market were sold at the judicial sale. The exact figures I'm trying to remember, they were both right around $7,500. We do have liens filed on those properties, and we provided the county with that information, and we don't know how many other liens there are, or where we'd stand in the pecking order, how they'll split up the money. Our liens are for a total of either $1,600 or $2,000, rounding off. And I say either because one of the liens does not indicate the address. So I gave the treasurer the number because I did have that in the file, and they're going to look it up and see if it is one of those properties. The same owner had other properties in Borough. When the other units there sold, they only went for a total of $500, and we were not in line to get anything. There was nothing to be distributed. So, I guess it's 24 to 28. There was no disbursement to the borough for that. So we'll update council when we hear and we get any distribution that we do get from them.
Chris, you said 18 and 22 just sold.
Yes.
I think we're missing, mathematically, we're missing 20. Is that
18 and 20 on the same.
18 and 20 are together?
Yeah.
Okay. So everything is now with a new owner?
Yeah, and I don't know who the purchase is. It was an LLC. I believe it's out of Carlisle area, but it's a real common name. It's like Green something. I have it written down in my office. So if you Google it, it could be any of or actually I went into the Department of State's site and searched the corporation, and there's a number of corporations with that name. But there is one in the Carlisle area that it appears, I'm guessing that's who it is. So I don't know, it didn't list, who the principals are. You have to pay for that report, so I didn't, bother to get that. I'm sure they'll be in to talk to us soon and find out what they have to go through to try to fix up the buildings. So. And then the other thing is, and there is the written information, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. DCED has opened up a grant program. It is called Small Sewer and Water Grants. The amount of the grants is between $30,000 and $500,000. And so I met with Pannoni and we reviewed the areas that they had mapped. And I apologize because I'm looking at my copies here, and in your packets, I hope you got the color coded that shows the areas that they had identified, but no, I know what the areas are. I just didn't want to make sure because I made some additional copies today, and it looks like they came out in black and white. What we looked at was the areas that were identified in the televising of the sewers as needing to be repaired, and then also looking at the parameters of the grant program. Initially, we, and actually Vicki is the one who had put it together, had scoped out something that would have come out to about 400, her estimate was around 490,000. Knowing that A, projects almost always go over that initial estimate, and B, that our shots at getting the grant would be much better if we weren't at the upper limit of that, because they do have a limited pool that they're going to divide into those amounts. We then looked at how can we scale this to get the project into a more moderate amount, and something that would really have some impact on our I&I problems. And basically, what we're proposing is it will include the Elm Street project, which has already been included, or already been discussed and approved by council. and then additionally, the lines that go up through the meadows. One of the things that we looked at in this was, there are some areas on High Street that are in worse shape than portions of the meadows, not the complete meadows, but it seemed to make sense to do the whole tract at once instead of doing it piecemeal and then have to go back and do the piece in between. But also, one of the criteria that they look for is potential economic impact, job creation. That line is also the collector for the business park up by Mutzabaws, so that I think we can make the case that it potentially, is important to economic development in the area. Additionally, that, because it is the collector area for that part of the township, if council approves pursuing this grant, then I will try to work with both the county and the township to get letters of support or resolutions of support. DCD likes things that are cooperative between different municipalities and intermunicipal agreements and so forth, so I think that will help us also score higher in terms of qualifying for the grant. What I'm asking council for is approval to go ahead and take the steps to prepare the grant application and for the engineers to do any additional work that they would have to do to be in support of the grant application.
So moved.
The motion by Ms. Young, a second by Mr. Croppermel to direct or allow the manager to consult with Pinoni to move forward with the grant application on the, what's it called, the
Small water and sewer.
small water and sewer program. Is there any further discussion?
Just a comment that I don't know impacts anything, but the road coming in off of Ann Street that joins to Cumberland, on this map it's named Devonshire Road, and I think that's Cumberland Street the whole way in, the one way, the whole way in. Okay. Not that it would change anything, but
What is it called,
it's Devonshire Road on here, and it's actually Cumberland Street.
Okay, thank you.
It's the one way, yeah. Only because there's colors on it, it might impact it, I don't know.
Creek Road in Penn Township turns into Cumberland Street coming into town, and Ann Street in the borough turns into Creek Road going out of town.
Correct.
They're both one ways, they become a two-way at Creek Road in Penn Township. You want to write Devonshire? Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do you have anything else, Mr. Corbett?
Now, that's all I have other than the items that are in your written report. Vicki, thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting everyone.
Thank you.
You
very
too,
much.
thank you.
Have a good night. Anything from or for the manager? Moving on to the treasurer's report, item number 9 on the agenda. We did table at the July meeting the June report. I think largely because of just knowing that the information is not very accurate. Is there any desire to take any action on that June report?
Oh, thank you.
Subject to correction and all.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Crawford, second by Mr. Williams to accept. Looks like the actual May 2016 treasurer's document and then the secretary treasurer report dated June 14th. Subject to correction and audit. Any further discussion? All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We then have the secretary treasurer's report in a different form dated August 12th from the treasurer. There are several documents in addition to the packet, including the banking review, the CD report. I think Mr. Kirkhoff had requested some of that data, and then the receipts by pay code, the cash receipts written in. Any wish for action on any of these documents?
Are the CD balances included in the bank balances on the banking review?
The CDs are identified separately. They're separate funds. They're not in those funds. These are the amounts that are in the actual funds. And these amounts in this report, this was prepared by Mr. Morgan, who painstakingly went through and reconciled everything, and so they are accurate and reconciled with the
So
outstanding.
this banking review is only funds that are in checking accounts, essentially?
These are in the borough's accounts. The CD amounts are up to date as of today, with the exception, you'll see, I noted that there's a pound sign next to the ones. There were a couple that, and I don't know why, but they don't show up in the online portion of it where the listing of all of our accounts with Marysville Bank are. I could not find those, and that was a situation where today I thought, I knew you had asked specifically for the CDs, so I wanted to get you an update on those. I will check with the bank and find out why they are not those other ones. I mean, obviously, they're low rates of interest, and it's not going to be big difference from the numbers we had before, but still, we want to have it up to date, and I want to know why they don't show up in the online banking.
Yeah,
so that we can
connect those accounts.
And there's at least one still Lordstown, is that correct? No, I'm sorry, never mind. It was at Newport, then Orstown, but they named it the Newport Bank, so my mistake. Any wish for action on the financial documents before you?
Yeah, I'm concerned. We have CDs that are ready to mature this year. And we've only made $6.36 on some, $8.69, or is that the rate?
No, that's the amount of interest in the latest period, the last month, I believe it is.
That's like a month.
Oh, just for the month.
That's just what's added in the past month. That shows in the report
That's
online.
for the term.
The
We
rate,
need a new system.
the rate, although many of the rates are not tremendous, they're less than 0.5% in many cases, the rates are indicated above the balances.
Don't we have enough in those accounts that qualify for something other than CDs?
There's nowhere to get a good rate of return.
Well, I know we're not getting much on anything right now, but
We may be better off sort of looking for like a money market or something, if that's what you're asking.
yeah,
Because we might be able to get a nominal return on those and then have better
treasury
access.
notes are, we don't have enough.
We have two, it appears we have two CDs that are at 1.98%, those are our highest rates.
That's the highest rate.
Just because we are looking at this for two cash reserves for the EMS company, Bank of Landisburg has programs that are over 2%, I think they're 2.22%. So it's a little bit better, and on some of the larger balances, it may yield some more interest. But especially the ones that are 0.3, 0.45, it may be worth considering other options. Because right now, everything's at Marysville.
Yes, and that will all be part of Mr. Morgan's analysis of things. As far as getting better rates, you are very limited, and Bill can speak more to this, but the Borough Code limits what you can invest municipal money in. So we can't, for example, go in the stock market or something like that.
These ones that are maturing, or have matured, what are we doing with those now?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, what are the terms?
Do we, well, my question is, do we want to roll them over? Do we want to look at something as a holding account for now? Even if it's just a deposit account, for the amount of interest we're getting, it's nothing. So just until we decide what we want to do, or till the EIP gives us some sort of semblance of an idea, I just don't see the reason to put them back into a CD that's going to essentially earn us nothing if we have to take it out the next year, or whatever we did. So to me, there's no point in rolling it into a CD.
Looks like there, if I'm reading this right, there are two that have matured.
Yeah, that's what I was
several more
seeing
than
too.
mature in December.
In December, day before Christmas,
Yeah, I see a couple for
some
December.
Christmas gift.
How many did you say for December?
I said several, I think.
Okay, yeah, I think I see like 5, okay, I thought you said 2, I was like, I think it's gonna be like 5 or 6. But either way, I think we should just put them into something else. We should probably still keep them separate than just the electric, water, sewer, whatever fund. That's something we can ask our bank.
I would say, when do you have your finance meeting?
The first.
First Thursday? Second Thursday.
Is that something you want to take a look at between now and then, and then do something, actually do something maybe?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. Well, let's make the note that if some of these that have matured already, they may already have rolled over depending on how they're
Yeah,
set up.
usually only have 10 days.
So, it may not matter on those.
Yeah, we would be ready with a plan for for the December ones.
Yeah, we can.
Because I was looking at August ones, but they're all 2019. Earning 0.45%.
And to be honest, we could, you can get it, there's ways to get out of a CD before it matures that usually involve paying back interest, but
Right.
for what we've earned, it would be.
For a month. 45 cents.
Is there any wish for action on the financial documents, stand on treasurer's report of receipts?
I'll motion for approval, subject to all.
Second.
With a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Williams to approve the treasurer's report subject to audit. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We then have before us in that same packet, the bills report. Again, has a different format this time. Right off of the actual accounting software. And this is actually I think a much better read because it actually gives some description of what that expense is and the breakdown on the funds. Any wish for action on the bills?
I have a question on the bill. Fuel oil, 800 some odd dollars. Explain that to me.
What page?
Next, page 5.
Oh, that's the gas card.
Yeah, I think he,
It's fuel
As it
slash
labeled.
oil. Fuel slash oil.
All right.
So that's the gas card for fuel for
Just
the.
the weekly.
Yeah, it's not heating oil, it's fuel.
now,
and
in fact, we just got a proposal from our current vendor for heating oil, and we're going to get other quotes and come back to council with, who can offer us the best deal, to see if we want to stay with the current vendor. We had actually another vendor in to visit us, just off the street, cold calling, came in to talk to us, and so we're going to gather proposals.
Thank you.
If you look at that's the Sunoco card.
Okay.
Sunoco gas card.
Thank you.
I guess there is some diesel, but it's mostly gasoline.
I'll move to approve and ratify the bills.
Second.
Was there any further explanation provided from the invoice that we received from the law office of Smith? That we had,
I know Chris had pulled that, I saw that.
Yeah, so Christie had asked me for that, and I had reviewed it with her earlier. It's $77, and it had to do with a couple things. One was we had requested from her electronic copies of ordinances that had been passed so that we could update the ordinance website because we have to be able to take them from a word processing document and turn them into a PDF so then they are searchable. So if somebody goes onto that site and searches for a particular thing they're looking for, whether it's already codified or in that section, it will show up along with any other documents. And then the other item had to do with, we had a right-to-know request related to is it Eberly? The case that was settled quite a while ago, was that the name?
Eric
Byers, I'm sorry, I don't know where I got Everly from. And there were two 1/10 of an hour One was apparently discussing it with me, and one was discussing it with Mr. Dissinger, related to, there's reportedly, she says there's a gag order, so we were not able, telling us that we could not release the information, which we couldn't release anyhow because it's not a record that the borough has in its possession. But that was what we were checking on in trying to solve that right to know request. It dealt specifically with what she was dealing with, so.
Okay.
We have a motion by Ms. Young, a second by Mr. Kirkhoff to ratify and pay the bills.
Is that in the bills? The space use meeting?
I wasn't sure if it was in the current
Okay.
ones or not, but I wanted to
Okay.
make sure we addressed it some way or another because I knew that.
For whatever reason, I thought the one that I questioned
Was over $2,000.
was.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let me see, I thought it was
There was a great deal of money in the one that we discussed.
Yeah, it was more than $77.
The note that I had in my notes was to pull that one that was $77 one, because that was the amount of that invoice.
Yeah, that one probably wouldn't have concerned me.
2,400, wasn't it? It was something like
It
2,400.
was 2,000 something.
All right, we'll go back and check, and
I thought maybe I was wrong about it, but if you guys remember that the same way, okay.
I remember being at least.
More than 77.
If it was
A lot
77,
more
I
than
would have
77.
probably just said it was paying.
Not even more than 90%.
Any further discussion? All those in favor give consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
May I call for a break, sir?
We'll take a short break. Let's be back at 9:25.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Next on the agenda, number 11, is standing council committee reports. Starting with facilities and fleet, Mr. Epley.
I'm working on a budget for next year, I'm not sure how that's gonna turn out. Nothing else to report.
Anything from or for Mr. Epley? Finance administration communication, Ms. Young.
Everything's in process, there's nothing really to go into.
Parks and recreation, Mr. Williams.
National Night Out was a great success. Heard nothing but good from it, from all the different block parties and what was held downtown. Thank you, DJ, for a great job. And Christy, thank you. You were there for moral support.
That's
so.
right, I'm an athletic supporter.
I have an excellent rec board committee. It's small, but
Mighty.
they do well. Lions Club had contacted me. We look good for the Halloween parade again from the Lions Club.
Good.
Mr. President, if I could just make one comment on Night Out. I've seen Night Out a lot of places, not just, working in Middletown, but also in the community I live in and as a reporter, reporting on it other places. I've never seen a community do it better than Duncannon does it. The block party idea is exactly what Night Out's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be just have a big party in one park and everybody goes there and congregates. It's supposed to be get out, meet your neighbors, be out on your porch, get the community involved. I used to joke that in Middletown we were actually inviting more crime, because it's kind of like they tell you in the funeral and in the obituaries, they always say, make sure you have a house sitter. Well, everybody goes to the park for the evening and leaves their houses, vulnerable because nobody's there. We're here, you had all the neighborhoods involved, and I thought I was really impressed. And I know that Roger has had a lot to do with it, and DJ, and really well done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We had a lot of help.
Anything else, Roger?
No, not at this time. We have some other things coming up for planning. We have the Halloween parade coming up, and we've worked on the Winterfest and the New Year's Eve. Those are the three next big ones that we have to deal with.
Do we have a date for the Halloween parade?
October 24th. I believe.
24th, yes.
And is there a contact person? Because we've been getting calls.
Me.
Okay, I have to get that paperwork into you because we'll need closure of Market Street too.
Sorry, October 22nd.
And
It's
we
24th
did
last year.
change Winterfest from the first Sunday to the second Sunday in December this year.
Correct, December 11th.
To
And guess when
accommodate
New
a
Year's
work
Eve will be?
schedule.
Yes.
Anything else from report Parks and Rec? Personnel, legal, and IT. Gina Myers was our part-time billing clerk, had submitted resignation just before our regular July meeting. She has made her departure, so we are down with Melinda's absence and now Gina's departure. And Caroline, our temporary summer employee covering for Melinda, is done, or was done Friday. We did have an interview with Sarah Kinney. She had previously applied when Gina was hired. Spoke to her this evening. I think everyone should have her resume in your packs for the part-time billing clerk position, starting out as a temporary position, and then based on some of the recommendations of the EIP and see how she works out, to then become more of a permanent part-time position. With that said, I'll move that we appoint Sarah, or hire Sarah Kinney as a part-time building clerk for the office.
Second.
Motion by me, second by Mr. Leonhardt. To hire Sarah Kinney. Any further discussion?
Do we have to accept the resignation first?
There's no,
Okay.
there's nothing accomplished by doing so.
Okay.
Am I correct in that, Bill?
It's not elected or appointed position.
Any further discussion? All those in favor give consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You can notify her at your convenience, Chris, into the schedule. Also, one of the things that we've discussed at the Personnel Committee level that I think is going to also come back up at the Finance Administration Communication Committee is some editing or some reviewing of our office hours, as far as public hours, as far as when bill payments to be made, and trying to focus the office staff on the tasks at hand, perhaps making morning and afternoon hours through the week not be the full 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. So we're going to look at trialing some of those hours in the coming weeks as we transition some of the new personnel into those positions. And also Melinda Willis had previously submitted resignation and then offered to come back on a part-time or as needed basis to try and work through this recreation of the accounts. She has graciously offered to do so, but worked through Mark Morgan's office and basically will be paid through grant funds then as an employee of his, but able to consult with us and provide us information through him. So that I think is a very clean way to do it. He's taken her on because she provides a lot of information and certainly very helpful through this process. Her intention long-term, she indicated to me this morning, is actually to move out of state. So that being a new mom and wanting to be at home as much as possible was her reason for the change in status. She was our full-time employee. The only other item I have is I had a pretty lengthy conversation with Clarissa Pyle last week, following the special meeting on Monday. She wanted to set the record straight on some things and offered some information that she would offer to come in and meet with Mark, with Chris, with Melinda to kind of show where things were left when she made her departure in April of 2014. Clarissa was one of the 3 employees that departed that April, has been very helpful in anything we've asked of her and provided a lot of information in the interim, but has also offered to meet and provide any of that information moving forward, at least as Mark is trying to establish a baseline for where the audit was starting in 2014. If you recall, those that were at the table or those that read minutes from that time period, Clarissa had requested on the record, I think multiple times, that an audit be completed upon her departure to protect her. The council did nothing with that at the time. So she kind of reiterated that not that she saw this coming, but that she was concerned something like this would happen. So she kind of reiterated that, but she was very pleasant and just didn't want to step on any toes coming in the office. I forwarded her information on to Chris and to Mark, and I'm sure they'll be in touch to give some background. And she was full-time here on a regular basis and handling a lot of finances, maybe could provide some more insight on software and kind of how things were done in that interim process. That's all I have for personnel, legal, and IT. Anything for me? Moving on to public safety, Mr. Crawford.
We did not review the continuity of government operations plan at our last meeting because some of the members did not have their copy of the current standing plan. Sent an email out asking for that to be forwarded to the rest of the committee members. I don't know if that's been done yet or not. Chris?
I don't have a copy of it.
Chris doesn't have that.
Oh.
I give that to you. I forwarded that to you.
Okay.
You have it.
That was, okay. I made a miss that I have it then. I haven't heard back from the fire chief on the burning ordinance update. Oh no, it was the emergency management response plan. That was, I confused myself there. Sorry about that. The emergency management response plan was not reviewed at the last meeting because some of the committee members did not have it. Hope to get them their copies soon if they don't have them already. Also, I received a letter from Anthony Place, currently serving as our code enforcement officer, but would like to be considered for the assistant emergency management coordinator position. Being as how we've been recruiting for that for some time, I've not received a letter from anyone else. In fact, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint him as the assistant emergency management coordinator.
Second.
I think the correct form, or the correct title is deputy.
Deputy emergency management coordinator.
Motion by Mr. Crawthorne, will second by Ms. Young to appoint Anthony Place as the deputy emergency management coordinator for the borough. The intention there being to work with Paul. Paul does intend to retire at some point, and I don't know if he'll step down as the MC, but he was able to learn that process and have some benefit out of his absence. Any further discussion? All those in favor give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. You can inform Mr. Place when you see him next.
That's all I have for public safety.
Anything else from our report, Mr. Crawford? Moving on to streets and infrastructure, Mr. Kirkhoff.
Well, the only thing on here, Wichita Road Culvert, as we all know now, the grant, we did not qualify based on the traffic study. So we'll have to talk about how we want to handle that replacement going forward, what options we have.
There was, and I think it's reflected in the CDs and also the balance report, there was money that was originally set aside from our highway aid with the intention of doing that project. Originally intended to do the north end of Market Street, Clark to 849 Market, the final pavement, which wasn't done with the sewer project, that was going to be allocated instead for that culvert. We did have, Vicki left, we did have some initial engineering work done on that. There was a vehicle crash there 2 weeks ago that damaged the guide rail some more, and that's in pretty rough shape. That actually came up 2 years ago, Frank. You brought that forth initially, so that's been a work in progress for some time. So wherever that stands with your committee or the engineer, it may be appropriate to, I don't know that we'll end it yet this year, but I think we have the DEP permit to do that.
I believe they're having to revise it because we had asked them to look at a concrete instead of I think their original was corrugated. And not the box, Mr. Leonard, but the regular concrete pipe. The box proved to be too expensive because of the geometry of the situation, the way the wing walls would have to be arranged and so forth. They said that when they checked the quotes on that, it wasn't going to be economically feasible. But there's questions, it has to go through DEP, and I think the big question is what accommodations will have to be made in the bottom for fish.
In the Pinoni report dated August 8th, it indicates the GP11 permit for culvert replacement over Clark's Run has been received from DEP. Council, we did authorize back in February to prepare final design and bid documents. Those documents are being prepared for a late spring, early summer bid date. I'm assuming that now means 2017. Originally it was planned for this year. Pinoni is reviewing various culvert materials such as corrugated metal, plastic, concrete that are acceptable for this project.
I think that, and I'll speak with Pinoni about that because that sounds like that's language that's been in there for, because we did direct them to look at the concrete, and the last conversation I had with them was that they were reviewing, because it's going to take another review of the permit. They didn't think there'd be anything much to it, that it just is go back in, but because it's a different material and there may be a different way you have to handle it, how far it's buried or whatever.
Anything else?
Did anybody from the work crew, were they able to go down and check for the street sign down there that we talked about?
I went down and there's not a do not enter, but the turns are all marked properly in the one way, so I don't know if it warrants a do not enter on, I mean, it's not that expensive, but again, it's very low traffic area.
This is the one we had talked about before.
On Ann Street.
It's on Apple Tree Alley at Ann, yes.
Right.
Yes, and it's but then it happens again at Maple. It's Apple Tree Alley, and it's both of
You're
them.
on Apple Tree Alley at PNC going
I think
north.
that's Maple.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the do not enter is not to the left. Like if you're coming out, if you're on Apple Tree either way, it doesn't tell you on Ann or on Maple that you can't turn to go down down the one way. I think it has the do not turn signs on the stop signs, but it doesn't have the do not enter signs on Ann and then on Maple. And I don't know that that's critical, because it has the don't turn signs.
Isn't it posted one way though? The one-way sign is posted there, so you shouldn't be able to turn into the one-way.
Yeah, but I think the one way is like on the opposite corner up here saying one way up. If you're at that intersection, you're not looking there, you're looking that way. It's confusing and it came up with Apple Tree, or with the Appalachian Trail Festival. That was when there was a lot of folks that weren't from town that were around that were trying to navigate with High Street being closed. It wasn't clear to them that they weren't able to go down both of those streets. And Plum may end up being the same way.
Because Apple Tree Alley at Cumberland is a do not enter. You can only go south on Apple Tree Alley at Cumberland. You can't turn from Cumberland to Apple Tree Alley.
Correct.
People do it often, but
Yeah.
it works otherwise.
Well, we'll keep taking a look at that. Because that was originally, somebody had filed a complaint, but we didn't have who, so we couldn't.
Yeah, I know it came up because of the June event. That was when the issue was brought forward because they couldn't, they had trouble navigating that end of town.
That's all for updates.
Anything else, Mr. Kirkhoff? Mr. Leonhardt, under utilities.
We've batted that one around all night long, we don't need to say anything more, except we have our committee meeting on Thursday at 6. I'm not going to Washington.
Okay, so Thursday at 6.
Anything else?
And I'll have some suggestions at that time for what I think we should do, based on what we discussed here tonight.
I'll have some paperwork that night on LED, street light.
Oh, okay, that's.
The couple LED streetlights that have been put in, I think, do a nice job.
Some
There's
have,
one on-
yeah.
There's one on Market Street in particular, right in the post.
We have a chance right now to buy some LED 70 watters, and if you buy 4, they give you 4 more. So you end up with a total of 8 for the cost
Is
of 4.
70 more than what's there?
70 is what Mike is preferring, because in some areas, there is some 70s up. And I forget where Mike told us those locations were.
Try that one on Market Street.
But these are really nice because he can get the device and he can change them lights from street level.
Oh, okay.
He can dim them, brighten them, bring them up and down, set them for different time frames to come on and off at different times, and so forth. They're not that expensive.
I think the lights in the square, when revenue allows it, could serve
Should
to use an
up.
upgrade. They were upgrade, that was a project where we got some for free, but they're not very bright.
I think they're probably in the 40s, because there was 40s and there was 70s. 40s we can't purchase, we can purchase all the 40s we want, but there is no give me. We've used that part. But the 70s we still have. I put a call into them, I wanted to see, they said if you bought 4, they'd match 4. I wanted to see if we bought 10, would they match 10? I'm still waiting for that call back.
And will those fixtures work, because the square lights are different, they're different
Right.
design, will they work in those?
They're a flat based, it would probably just take the fact of taking the bottom lens off and they fit on a tube. So these are the tube type, so we would have to buy the arms
Right.
to replace all the others. But I think that flat base Mike would know
I'd have
better
to-
by tearing it apart and looking at it. He
I'll-
retrofitted a lot of different things throughout the county.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that we have the knowledge there if we ask.
It would be great, especially prior to the Halloween parade and prior to,
Absolutely. So-
Yes,
not National Night Out, Winterfest,
yes.
to have the square a little brighter.
Yeah, that was one of
Well,
the biggest
Winterfest,
complaints with
don't
the
forget,
parade.
we'll be at the tavern.
Oh, okay, okay.
There are a
But
lot-
we're looking at some portable lighting like we do for New Year's Eve to generate for up there. So, but you're right, the square would, it would look a lot better brighter. So I could even talk to Mike too to see if a couple of the 70s he have now could be retrofitted and we could try one. We could look at trying one.
Maybe use his 40 somewhere else.
Yes, yes,
Reusing those.
Yeah, I have some in the house.
because I think the one up by you, Craig, is a 70.
They make it.
I know, I'm pretty sure the one by the
That's
post
a nice
office is-
light,
yeah.
that is a nice light.
There
And
are,
the one on Market Street, by Sorrento's area or
I-
somewhere, I think that's a
Market
70.
and Plum.
Said that's-
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
the
that
one that
sounds
kept
right.
going out and
Yeah.
coming back and going out.
and just since we're on street
And then
lights,
they replaced them.
if you want to pass along to Mike, the street light at Lincoln and 849 is intermittent. I think it's probably a starter that's bad. It comes on sometimes and other times it's not. The one in,
That's a nuisance light.
yeah, the one in front of 1012 Lincoln, my neighbor has been out altogether for a couple weeks. And then I found out Sunday morning early on a call that the one at in the 1100 block of High Street is out as well.
So, you know, there would be a nice deal situation, Craig, up on that end of Lincoln Street. You just named two that's a problem.
Yeah.
It would be an ideal situation to put two 70s up there to try to finish a section instead of jumping
Right,
all
'cause there
over
is one
town.
up there, right.
Yes, there's one up there.
And that's something that, you know, the guys don't really see during the day.
Right.
If we can reinforce the police department too, if they're driving around at night and they notice, to pass it back, because if they're working properly, they shouldn't be only the guys who are here during the day.
Right. And those are arm lights, so that's just putting the bonnet right on the end and doing it.
Anything else for utilities or streetlights?
No?
Moving on to special committee reports, Mr. Crawford.
Under revitalization and development, last Wednesday, we had our meeting and met with the economic development committee that's been working in Penn Township. They are not tightly tied to the township, but they've been working with Penn Township on these numerous projects. And it turns out that we have some very common goals with them. They're actually going to start attending our meetings either in whole or in part, so that we can share ideas moving forward. That pretty much comprised our whole meeting, except that the committee, at my recommendation, appointed Lisa Landis as co-chair of that committee.
Anything for revitalization development?
The tree vitalize was kind of put off to next year,
Oh,
you said.
yes. We discussed kind of briefly before, and I think we were leaning towards putting it off till at least next year anyway, based on what recommendations we might or might not get from the EIP as well as.
Just more planning time it needs.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, we would have to have a final plan put together by the end of September. There's just not time to do the work with the board and stuff like that to get it done, so we might put that off until at least next year.
Would you like me to take it off the agenda? I'll tell you, I'm hesitant to take anything off the agenda, simply because I don't want to lose it.
Then it goes away. You know, it's something that I think we're gonna, through the winter here, continue to work on. Not in the capacity of, we're gonna try and slam it home this year, but just from the past, we're gonna keep moving forward with it for the plan, you know, to get a plan together for next year, so we're better prepared next summer.
If you don't have an objection, I'll keep it on.
I'm fine with that.
The group you met with, discussing with Penn Township, and Duncannon situations, did they give any indication of more, potentially more, inhabitants in the, industrial park?
That's one of their goals that they've been working on for some time,
They've been
to attract
working on
more
it.
business into
Okay,
the
but
industrial park there.
Nobody's fighting.
They didn't specifically mention anything, you know, regarding, we have this business that's coming to look at land in the industrial park, but, I can't say for 100% sure, but, I know the status of that.
They were interested in more, just any business, bringing any business into the area.
Yeah.
They even were saying that that didn't just mean Penn Township. They've already been thinking that means Duncannon, so.
True, understand.
They
But
see it.
what I was looking at specifically out there,
Yeah,
because again, adds more water and sewage to our system.
Sewage.
Sewage.
We don't provide.
They have their own water.
They have their own water,
yeah, they have.
always their own water.
Yeah,
Okay.
They had requested water from the borough at one point, we didn't have the capacity to offer it to them.
correct.
Anything else for revitalization development? Moving to unfinished business. I think we heard a little bit about the water project discussions. Is there anything else that you folks have on that? with revitalization?
I wasn't prepared to talk there. We did have a meeting with CEDACOG. Jeff and I were there and met with the two representatives from Penn Township. Where it stands right now is they must do another census of the Sunshine Hill area. And once they have that done, I would assume it's going to be done within the next month or so.
Do they do that, or do they pull the school's records for that?
I'm sorry?
Do they do that census, or do they pull the school's data for that?
No, this is,
Door to door.
yes, it's
Door
door
to door.
and it was modified.
CEDACOG,
It was modified, remember? It is just Sunshine Hill now. They're
Right.
no longer gonna use our census data. They're gonna use our
Our-
flyer that we did for our grant and combine it
Oh.
with Sunshine Hill rather than use our census data as they were before. So it actually cuts down the number of surveys they're gonna need to do to like 40-ish, 40 to 50.
50%. And what CEDACOG's gonna do is take their house numbers, basically, run them through their computer, spit out a list for them, and they'll go visit those homes. And the people, you know, the folks from Penn Township are gonna do that. Once that's done, then we will know whether there's a project going forward with the other government, the CEDACOG and CE and all of that whole group. And
The alphabet soup.
what?
The alphabet soup.
The alphabet soup. I get lost in all these acronyms. Bottom line is, where Penn Township and ourselves seem to be is looking at the kind of an agreement that we have currently with the JOAC, the Joint Operating Committee for the Municipal Authority. Rather than forming this separate authority that would be really a governmental entity unto its own, we're looking at more of an agreement. All of that's to be determined once we get this census.
Anything else on water project?
DCD, CEDACOG also kind of made us aware that they'd be willing, that DCD would be willing to combine the grants to form more of one grant rather than us having our grant and Penn Township having their grant, which would allow us to cut out some redundancies.
Right.
So they wouldn't have to do something, we wouldn't have, we might have to do the same thing, we would be able to just make it one. That would be it'd basically be redesign of the whole project in general, so.
There would be some re-engineering.
Yeah, which is something we didn't know at first, this was something new. Originally it was our project's our project, theirs is theirs, we can combine so that they can get it maybe, but now they're open to allowing us to change our project potentially.
And that doesn't.
And it will not affect our grant at all, so.
And you might be aware that, and they didn't come out and say this, but they may be dragging their feet on your liner a little bit until we see where we're going with this combined water project. Because if
So
this all
DCD
goes,
has DEP.
DEP is involved in the
is
project
involved
now.
in the project. CEDACOG met with both DEP and the other group the day we had the meeting.
and the DEP's agreed to provide free consulting and advisory services for the project in hopes that it becomes a joint project.
According to CEDACOG, these governmental agencies from the state, the 2 or 3 that are involved, really want to see this combined water deal go through. And they're pushing and hoping and trying to make it as easy for the 2 municipalities to make that happen as they can. I know that's...
The DEP thing was new. That was literally that day that we met with CEDACOG. They had come straight from a meeting with DEP.
Yes.
Right. Is there anything else relative to the water project discussion? Junior council member, I was assuming since school's not back in session.
Exactly. I was waiting until school got back in session to give Mr. Rubish a call.
Just a recap, last Monday, Mr. Leonhard presented us with a check, a personal check for $10,000. What? Okay.
We're not gonna pay the bill? I took it back.
What? What bill?
We're paid up until the quarter.
Yes.
Until we get an ordinance to make the agreement or contract legal, we can't pay them. So I took my money back.
So you were tagging that for the police contract?
Yes, I said that to begin with.
Okay, well, we did pay that.
Yeah,
That was what that whole meeting was about. We paid that.
last week, 5 of them.
But that's okay.
paid for it.
Okay, I'll write you another one.
The direction I was going was.
I'm working on a movie, bud. If they don't want your money, send, you know.
The direction,
Yeah, I know we agreed to spend the money to pay them, but then I was told we can't pay them because the contract's not legal because it wasn't.
The check was hand-delivered, Colonel.
So I'm so confused
the
now.
check was
I
delivered.
don't know,
And-
so I took my check back.
And we maintained service at this point based on the payments we made and the existing, what did you
So
call it?
I owe you.
Agreement?
Yeah, gentleman's handshake.
Gentleman's
You're
handshake.
saying.
I'm not saying you owe me a thing. I'm saying that we are presently paid based on the terms of the document that's out there through the end of September. And that was the action last Monday. Moving forward, Mr. Crowthorne was trying to get in touch and set up some negotiations, discussion with the township for hopefully the 4th quarter and beyond, which we can figure into budget and feasibility for
Let's
continued
get it
service.
squared away before the 1st of January.
So I was going to thank you for your money, but if you took it back, never mind.
I'll give you another.
Thank you, next
Thanks for
month.
the offer.
So I can write that up.
It's already paid, you don't need it.
Next month.
Maybe next month.
The only other item I have, which I found in my bin today, I didn't have when I did the agenda, is a letter from Dennis Miser. Wednesday, July 27th, he supervised Frymoyer & Son excavating contractors who are hired by ZB Forest Products to close out the 2015 timber sale in the watershed. They got some things cleaned up, approximately 40 tons of stone were applied, and some regrading and so on and so forth out in the watershed. Since everything is now in good order, he is asking to return ZB Forest Products performance deposit of $5,000 and provides the address. Does anyone remember where that money was held? I don't remember an escrow account or a CD or anything being set up on that, or where those funds would even come from.
I would assume they're in timber, but I don't know that for sure.
So we should probably have action to repay that performance deposit and the source of those funds.
So moved.
What's the source of those funds?
We're gonna have to research it.
Yes, yeah.
And we'll advise at the next meeting. I mean, we would have to find the deposit to find where they were put, to find out where they
Should be in the minutes, or, well,
No,
maybe
I
in the
don't think
minutes.
they're in the minutes.
Motion by Ms. Young and second by Mr. Crowtharmel to return the performance deposit of $5,000 to ZB Forest Products with the account information to be determined. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor give consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll give this to you, Christie.
I'll give it to Bruce.
Okay. Anything else under unfinished business? Under new business, I attended on the borough's behalf a luncheon with the Tri-County Community Action folks. They're based in Harrisburg, but provide services to residents in Perry County, Cumberland County, and Dauphin County. That was on 28th of July, something like that. It was a lot of information. I didn't really know what they did or who they were, but they provided some information on some of the services they offer to residents, including the borough. And I certainly think we have residents in the borough that could benefit from the services. So I'm going to pass the pamphlet off to Chris for information in the office. I'm sure you can get more of those if you need them. The luncheon was more of a recognition of one of the users of the services who actually lives here in the county. She actually lived in Penn Township for a great deal of time. So I think it was a good program, and it's one of those private entities that provide services that the government oftentimes is unable to. So if anyone wants to see that pamphlet, I have that as well. The other item is, and I didn't get a chance, I just printed this out this afternoon, is a town hall meeting in the main courthouse, the Perry County Courthouse in New Bloomfield. It's on Tuesday, September 27th at 7 p.m., continuing to 8:30 p.m. It's a heroin and drug use forum. It's the Perry County, the opiate epidemic, hosted by the Perry County District Attorney. In the past, they've had these town hall meetings or these panels hosted by Perry Human Services, and Perry Human Services is still involved, but with the magnitude of the challenges that we have drug-wise specifically in the county, but specifically in Duncannon, they wanted to put a little more, I don't know, guts behind it and put it out by the district attorney as an event at the courthouse instead of at the high school or wherever they've done it before. On the EMS behalf, I'll be serving on that panel along with the DA. I believe the coroner's on the panel, and there are 2 or 3 other folks. If anyone wants the information, again, I have this in email. I think I forwarded it to you.
It's posted on the borough's Facebook page as well.
It's on the Facebook page, yes, I did put it on the Facebook page. But if you want to hang this up in the office and make copies as you deem necessary, again, if anyone needs information or has any questions, then I'll be glad to provide that information. That's all I have under new business. Does anyone else have any new business?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to contact Dennis Miser, have him come in and look at the timber shed, the watershed, and see if we can do another timber cut.
We have a motion by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Cropharmel, to contact Dennis Miser and request an analysis of the watershed for feasibility of a timber cut. Any further discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Just to remind you, we do have an assessment underway of the watershed, and they were back and doing some additional look at it and so forth. And, I think it would be wise to wait till we get that report so that we have a good view of the whole thing, and then we review that with the forester with that information in hand. I'll be glad to, if you'd like to look at the maps, you can see the areas that have not been cut in the last 10 years. It's very limited. Preliminarily, one of those areas has what would be some pretty good hardwood. It's not a real large area, but the other area looks like probably is mostly, I think they call it shelter wood, not real high quality. And they're 2 very small, like I say, areas that have not been timbered. I think that we need to look at this very closely because yes, it's easy to tap that for immediate cash, but it's a resource that should be managed sustainably so that we can continue to draw revenue from that.
With all due respect, all my faith is in Dennis Miser. That's why I put the motion on the floor. I want Dennis Miser up there to tell us what to do.
Do you have any objection to waiting until that report comes in?
Yes, I do. I want to get on as soon as possible.
Do we have a timeline for that report?
We're out, and I think they've finished the survey and now are preparing it.
Okay. So we don't have a solid timeline on when the players.
I can check and get you.
Okay. If you could ask them to get the lead out, that way we can some information there. 1 second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor Motion is to contact Dennis Miser to request recommendations on the timber cut. Motion by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Crawford. Was there any further discussion? All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other new business? Any public comment from the audience?
When it comes to the police, I'm hearing a lot of, the state police doesn't know what zone we're in, what the information, I mean, they couldn't figure out what zone we're in, when they're gonna cover. If we end at the end of September, I keep hearing a lot of we're contacting Penn Township, we're trying to put something in place, we're trying to have conversations. We're gonna, in a month from now, we're gonna be in the exact same situation we were last Monday. So what are we actually doing to make sure that the police coverage starts on October 1st?
2 weeks ago, Penn Township appointed a committee to meet with us. Last week, I sent out an email to schedule with them for our public safety committee and their public safety committee to meet. Frankly, that's a matter of 8 people. I not simply set a date for the meeting because I'd like all 8 of those people to be at the table.
But can you see from the community standpoint that today is August 16th? So 2 weeks ago we started it, we still haven't set a date on when you're gonna actually have a conversation with 8 people. So if it's another 2 weeks, now you're pushing September. Seems like we're gonna run right up into a deadline again and we're gonna have another issue like we had before.
I hear what you're saying, and I can respect where you're coming from, but it also takes some work to get that many people together, and that can take some time to accomplish. My goal is to have an edited version of the contract ready for council to vote on before September. That's not true at all, sir.
That is true.
My trouble is that I do not believe that the borough is in a tenable position to pay the police contract as it sits, based on finances. I don't have a problem with the operation of the police department, at least over the last 2 months.
Just for the record, you should state your address
John Capuana, 717 North High Street.
for the record. Is there anyone else that has any public comment? Who wants it this week?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Young and second by Mr. Crawford to adjourn the meeting. The next regular meeting will be Tuesday, September 20th here at 7 p.m. Thank you all for being here and for sticking it out. We almost made 10 o'clock. Please have a safe trip home. All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Actually pretty good for the time. Pretty long. Still way too long.
Yeah, Mike.
Streamline.
Hey,